Welcome to the Learn Through Loving podcast, first episode from the humble abode in Sweden.
Sweden, dude. Yeah.
I am here with my good friend Robin. Robin, how you doing, man?
Dude, I'm doing good. I'm super stoked to be here. Super stoked to actually be on your podcast. I watched it, I don't know, three or four episodes.
Yeah.
How many do you have up yet? Like 6?
I think I got 6 up right now.
Yeah. So I got a few more
As
to
of
go.
date of recording this, obviously more to come.
True.
I'm excited to have you on here because I did almost all the other ones. I mean, I did a couple in Ohio, one in, Brew was in California. Most of them were in before I left. It was just like the week before I left.
Yeah.
I recorded everybody that had time,
Yeah.
And I was looking forward to getting here and getting like new perspective, I don't know, just someone different. Like you have a totally different life than anybody I've ever talked to.
Yeah.
I mean, well, that's I guess true for every single person, but we have all these cool conversations. I remember when I came and visited last time, I was always like, we would just bullshit when we walked to the store, or, out on the porch or whatever.
Yep.
And since I've gotten here, we've had those conversations again.
Oh, yes.
And I was like, dude, you need to be on this thing. And you listen, you're like, yeah, just tell me when. So we're finally getting to it. So
super stoked, man.
Yeah, this is also going to be interesting too because you've actually seen it. You're the first guest that I'm having that's seen the podcast.
Right, that's true. Because everybody else did it, and there was no podcast up yet.
Yeah, I didn't post it until December, until I got here. So everyone else was just kind of going off of whatever.
So I got a bit of a cheat though, because I know the questions that you have pre-written.
Well, that's true.
You might mix it up. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. We'll see where the conversation goes. But yeah. So with that, we can start there. I know you already know what they are.
Some of them. I haven't memorized them, and I haven't thought about them. But, I've heard them.
Okay. Well, we'll start with it. I don't even have memorized because I haven't recorded a podcast, and I've just been editing the fuck out of all these things. Oh, man. All right. My favorite one to start with is, what do you think has led you to this moment?
In what? In what sense? How do you mean?
What do you mean? You mean, so that can mean whatever you want it to mean. Like, what's led to this? Was it what happened in your past? Is it the fact that you walked from your room to the kitchen to get here? Or what do you think's led you to where Robin is right now?
What has led me to this moment? Oh, wow. What has led me to be here with you is mostly my sister, obviously, because that's how we got to know you.
Yep.
What has led me to be here, I don't know, there's so many different answers to the question, but, in a mental state, all my experiences, that I've had, has obviously brought me to where I am now. Dude, I don't know how to answer the question.
No, that's fine, dude. That gets us going. So, you are, how old are you, 22?
Yeah.
22, full-time student.
Yep.
Going to school in California from Sweden,
dude,
remotely right now.
Yep, unfortunately.
Because of everything going on. Yep. Yeah. We'll have to talk about that shit when we get going. But that was one thing when I noticed it was one of the more recent podcasts I posted. I wasn't asking people what they do because usually that's like the last question I ever ask. Yeah. You're going to school. What are you going to school for then?
Business administration.
Okay, so business degree.
Yep. Hopefully, the dream is to get a master's degree in business administration.
Yep.
More because it just feels cool to say I have a master's degree, dude. Honestly, it has a.
Is that what an MBA is?
I don't know.
Oh shit.
What's MBA stand for?
Master's of Business. I think it's Master's of Business Administration.
Then that might be it. Eh?
I just know it's a Master's of Business is usually MBA.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what they call it.
Then probably.
And I used to get confused when I was growing up because I was like, "Why are you playing in the National Basketball Association?" Anyway, dumb joke, but so that's cool, man. I mean, you're going to school there remotely, and the plan I think is still that you're waiting on paperwork and stuff. You're going to be moving out there, right?
Yep. I had everything done too, and now this week, I had an interview set up with the U.S. Embassy in Sweden, and now this last week it got canceled. All I got was a text that said, "Oh, your interview has been canceled," and then no reason. It didn't even say "Oh, because of this" or "This is how you're gonna reschedule."
Yeah.
No information whatsoever. What the shit? So went on their site, booked a new appointment, asked for an emergency because I'm a student. I applied for like I get to skip the queue and like So I applied for that and still haven't gotten a response. So now it's just
some
like
things aren't so different here in Sweden as America.
Yeah. Yep.
I've seen you. I mean, I know it's been weird with the time difference. Obviously, it's like that for me too with certain things, but you're fucking hanging in there, dude. You got, not to brag, your 2-year horn or whatever. You got straight A's last semester, which is awesome. I'm always supportive of
Out of the 4 courses, 2 were actually like graded ones, and 2 were pass no pass. So I mean,
don't Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
Oh shit! I took like 20 units.
Man,
all of them.
Yeah, all of it. No. But that's awesome, dude. Yeah. I'm always whatever anybody does, I always want them just to do the best of it, right?
Yeah.
Because I've half-assed a lot of fucking things in my life, right?
Dude, I'm with you.
I know we all probably have, but the older I get, the more I appreciate. Like, no, you did it. Like, for instance, you brought up your sister. Like, she does that writing thing every November. And dude, she was busting out like 5,000 words a day.
Yeah,
like,
she was killing it,
like a beast.
Yeah,
and
her goal was like 50,000 words. She hit 90,000 almost.
Went way over
it. Was nuts.
So, whatever it is, whether it's for your job, whether it's being graded or not, like you want to put the 100% of you into it.
Yeah. The thing I've noticed is, and this is probably like people know this, but you only do that when you're passionate about what you're doing, right? Because like, when I went to school, like growing up here in Sweden, I got like completely average grades, like didn't give a shit. And basically in like every job I've had since then, like, I do what I must. And like, when I'm passionate about something, I chose to pay like sick amounts of money to go through the school because I want this, like, it's a passion in there. And then you give it your all. And like you with your podcast and like anyone with anything, or Michelle with writing, like, you got to give a shit about it.
Dude, yeah. We, I mean, it's simple, but it's so true, and we don't operate society that way.
That's the thing.
We tell people to work that bullshit 9-to-5 job that they hate just to live for the weekend. But, and I mean, that's a whole cycle, and I've been a part of that cycle. I've been an insurance agent. I've done, call center jobs. I've done office jobs. I've done customer service jobs. I've done food service, like all these different things, and it's like when like you said, when you're passionate about something. Martin Luther King Jr., I guess, whatever.
Yeah.
Since we're in Europe, I need to make sure you know what I'm talking about. He pretty much said, like, whatever it is that you're doing, like, if you're a street sweeper, sweep the street like Michelangelo, right?
Yep.
Like, whatever it is that you're doing, do it with such passion. And there's I get all my conversations mixed up now over these years. But my, this show Dirty Jobs.
Oh, I recognize the name.
It was this dude on Discovery Channel. He'd go out and he would do jobs that were dirty. So like sewage workers or dump truck, or anything. Insert thing here. There was one dude I remember. Ooh, that's an alarm right there. To wake up, but I don't.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think I was taking a nap sometime. Anyway, so he would go out to these things and talk with the people and see how they do the job and stuff. And I remember there was one episode where I think he was working with like sewage, some sort of recycling sewage center or something like that. And the guy was a lawyer before. Yeah. And he decided, I don't want to be a fucking lawyer. I want to go do something else. Yeah. He got a job at this place and he loves it. Not like working, but like knowing that he's doing something that tangibly helps everybody. Yeah. And he doesn't have to feel shady. He gets to work with his hands. He gets to accomplish something, go home. He gets to spend time with his family. Like, it was all these things that he checkmarked off, whereas a lot of people would think, oh, I need to be a lawyer and make 6 figures, and then I'll be happy. This dude was like, fuck that, dude. We had a family friend, too. Actually, he was a lawyer as well. He ended up just doing law for 2 years to pay for his degree, because he was, all that money in debt. As soon as he was done with that, fuck lawyer, and now he works on like telephone lines.
All right. And what, like repairs?
Yeah. I don't know what he does now. I haven't talked to him in years, but I just remember that was the thing. He's like, yeah, I fucking hate being a lawyer. Like, I don't want to.
It's kind of ironic. You got a degree and then you only use the job to pay for the degree you got, and then you just throw it all away. Yeah, but it is. But it's one of those things like you wouldn't know until you do it. Because we get taught as a kid, like, oh, you need to be this, and you're like, hey, I have to be successful, and then you realize I will kill myself if I keep doing this. I don't want to do this. And I think a lot of people suppress that Yeah.
I did for a long time too. Like my family and stuff. We all want to be accepted. We all want to be loved. And a lot of times in our head, it's conditional love. It's, well, if I'm not successful, then no one's going to care about me, and then I'll be thrown away because I'm not useful. And that's not the truth. Maybe that's the truth for some people's situations, for sure.
Yeah.
But when you start surrounding yourself with people that just love you for who you are, then you can be free to, like, now I'm free to do this.
Yeah.
You know,
it just reminds me of like the podcast with Rue.
Yeah.
And his way of teaching kids, like throw us your passion, and then we'll guide you like there.
Yeah.
Using everything else that you need to learn, like, but like follow the thing you want to do instead of what people tell you should do, right?
Yeah. There's and so many things that go on with that. There's Jack Kornfield is a meditation teacher that I love.
Yeah.
And he's always good at telling stories, but I'm going to summarize this one because it's a long story. There's this Hawaiian teacher who asks kids pretty much to say like what their story is, like where they came from, about their family, what their gift is. And she was doing this she'd done it thousands of times. And she finally had a kid that was like, he said the first two fine, and then he's like, what gift? He's like, I'm in this school, I know read good, he just was like, fuck you, like, why'd you even ask this question? She was like, shit, I didn't mean to make him feel that way.
Yeah.
She ended up bumping into him again a couple weeks later, and he talked about what his gift was. And this kid was, probably some sort of like mentally handicapped or whatever, but he said that every single time he goes out fish, the ocean speaks to him, he talks to the fishies. He says, I just need one fishy for my family. And the shark comes up and says like, hey brother, why are you taking my fish? And he's like, no, don't worry, Sharky, I just take one fish. You cool. And then the shark says, you cool. And I take my fish and I feed my family every day. And he tells it, and I'm not making it as emotionally impactful as if you hear the whole story, but the teacher's point was, what if we educated our kids based on what their gift was?
Yeah.
Instead of making this kid that clearly can't really read, he can't do math and all these things. What if what if he was able to use his passion for providing, for taking care of people, for going out? He'd probably give people tricks and shit, teach people these things that we don't even know about. We think it's scientific, but really there's other shit going on there. However you want to believe it, right? And I'm with you, man. When I was in school, once I knew that I wasn't trying to go to college after school, I fucking tanked I was like, I don't give a shit about this. Like, fuck it. I'm not going to a university because it's way too expensive. I'm going to go to community college, and I have to be in the top 30% of my class.
To graduate or what?
No, to get so in Arizona at least, if you're like the top 30% of your class, you get free community college.
Oh, if you're in the top 30% in high school. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Which is a lot because we have like 1,500 kids graduating.
Yeah.
And I know I'm smarter than a lot. no offense, I'm not that smart.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people don't give a fuck either.
Yeah.
I just have to give a little bit more of a fuck.
And you did it?
And I did.
Okay.
But like if you wanted to go to university and have that paid for you to be like top 5 or 10% or something like that, like more competitive. And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And I stopped. And then when I was even in college, though, like I was paying for my classes. Like I lost that scholarship and I was paying for my classes. I still didn't give a fuck unless it was astronomy, philosophy, or communications. 3 things that I'm actually passionate about. Everything else, computer classes, English class, I don't give a shit about these things.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do the work. Even though I paid you $500, I'm not doing it. And they're like, that's fine. Thanks for the $500, idiot. Like, and I was like, yeah, suck it. Like, whatever. But those other classes, it didn't even feel like work. When I took philosophy classes, I was like, yes, like let me read, let me learn, let me anticipate, and all this stuff. It was effortless.
Yeah.
So
I remember you told me about your, what was it, astronomy professor? The super cool?
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. I don't remember her name. It starts with B. Doesn't really matter. She worked for NASA.
Oh yeah, right.
She did this because she had a family.
Yeah.
So she got to do this, and then during the summer she worked for NASA and she actually helped write the programming language for the shuttle or whatever, the drone that's going to Europa to drill through the ice to find if the water has any life in it. Europa is a moon of Jupiter, I believe. Okay. It's one of the moons that we believe has life on it.
Yeah.
In it. Because it's encapsulated in ice, and we know that under the ice is all water. So we want to see if there's life in the water.
Yeah. Huh. Do you know when it's gonna like?
It's already going there, I think, but it takes time.
Yeah. When does it land?
I have no kept up.
Okay.
I should though. It might even be. I haven't been in school for a minute. So. Anyway, but just the way she talked about everything, it was her passion. Yeah. She wanted to educate everybody. She made rocks interesting, dude. Yeah. She's like, this is volcanic rock, and blah blah. I'm like, that sounds actually kind of cool. Like, let me see the rock. Like, whereas any other time I was like, yeah, that's a black rock, and that one's gray.
All right.
Cool. Yeah, exactly. But I think it's easy to say. So I'm talking a lot.
No.
So it's easy to say, like, if you had talked to me even 8 years ago, like right when I got sober and said this, I'd be like, dude, you're being irresponsible. What are you even fucking doing for work there? How are you, like, what are you going to do? How are you going to provide for a family? Blah, blah, all these things in my head. And I realized that that's just bullshit. Yeah. Like, just like the people that go get a law degree, like, I am getting whatever experience I need right now. I'm meeting you, neighbor, other people, eating different food, having these conversations. Like, that's worth more than any stable job I've ever had.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Any money that I made before. Because I had certain jobs where I made a lot more money, and I had jobs where I didn't really make money.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is that if I'm not in a good place, both of those things suck, right? So I want to just be in a good place. So that's what I'm trying to do here, right? I'm not in control of a lot of things. Right now, like, this is the most recent podcast, and I think I'm putting this one up this week, so it'll be actually, like, super relevant. There's, like, the Capitol Hill shit.
That was fucking crazy, dude.
What? There's all these things going on, and I'm like, I'm not in control of that. I'm not in control of the vaccine or COVID or any of this shit. If places open up, what I am in control of is what's going on in here, right? And I'm not even fully control of that, but I can at least work. I've been working on that, so I stay centered. I can listen and I can adapt and see where I need to go next, right? And that's it. If I was back home, I would be doing the same thing, but I might be lost on autopilot, working some bullshit job to pay for shit that I don't want, right? Like, every time I say shit like that, I always think of Fight Club, like, to buy things.
Oh yeah, that speech is fucking amazing. Yeah.
But that's kind of what it feels like. Like, now I don't have to worry about that shit. I have very minimal amount of bills, like my phone bill. I'm trying to make sure I have internet for D&D tonight.
Yeah.
Like
shit, you got a lot on your plate, man.
Huge problems. But like, through that quiet, that's when this starts to speak.
Yeah.
Right? That's when this starts to open up and say, hey, look at, there's some grief that you haven't processed.
Yeah.
Right? And I talked to you about that the other night. Like, I've actually done work on that. If I say other night, it was probably 2 weeks ago.
Probably.
But like, I had to listen to that. Different things come up, and we're constantly shedding skin and layers and everything. And I'm grateful, but also I pat myself on the back that I'm giving myself this chance to listen to that.
Yeah.
And I've had so many people say, like, oh, like, I wish I could do that or something. You fucking can. Like, trust me. Like, it's like the thing you always see people say, like, if I can do it, you can do it. Like, I'm not that special.
No.
I mean, yeah, I can talk to people. I'm a unique person, blah, blah, but, like, I haven't done really anything that put me aside. I'm just actually doing it.
Yeah.
I decided to we have that vision instead of saying, like, oh, yeah, but what if this, what if, and then it kind of just loses steam.
Yeah.
This time I was like, okay, regardless of COVID, of all these other things, like, I'm making this thing happen.
Yeah.
And then it happens. And go figure. That's why you have people like David Goggins, like, saying, like, everybody's saying the same thing, like, fucking make it happen then.
Yeah.
You know? And I believe that to be true now. Right?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. I'm not trying to convince you. I'm just trying to say, like, that. But it's like, I hear that from people all the time. Oh, someday I'll come visit you. I'm like, you can come here. It's actually, it's only like $400.
Especially now. Yeah.
Especially, like, and Sweden's still letting you, no masks, no. It's like, it's still positive on that. Yeah, you just don't give a shit. No, people give a shit, but they.
We're starting to give a shit now, though. We're starting to, like, heavily recommend masks, and, like, we're actually enforcing. It hasn't gone through yet, but it's been like a suggestion of cops being allowed to give out fines for, like, people being too crowded and shit, which we've never had so far.
Interesting.
Yeah, and now they might get that going.
I mean, that's a whole. I'm not going to go too far into to COVID.
No, it feels like it's been, like, main focus for, like, a year.
I
like,
know.
I've
but I mean, I like talking about it. I'm
yeah. That's the thing.
But it goes to say, like, it has this is the biggest thing that I see here, and I've told a couple friends about this. I've probably told you too. The aura of fear is not here.
No.
I had such a weight lifted off my shoulders and my chest when I came here, because everywhere in the U.S. it was this constant thing that was like fucking slapping you in the face everywhere you went all the time, and people are scared. You walk into a supermarket, there's just tons of fear. Like, when somebody pulls their kid close and they're like afraid of you if you're walking by or whatever. Like, if you're walking down the street and somebody kind of goes to the other side. Like, it was like that with everything, and it was just, it's disgusting. It's not a good place to be, and it makes people sick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You get super self-conscious too when you're like, dude, what is it? Something wrong with me? Like, what am I doing?
No, I'm just scared of everything in life. Like, holy shit, okay. I don't even want to be around that, right? And then the fact that I don't really want to be around that kind of makes me an asshole to some other people. And I know everybody has their own experience with these things, right? And I don't ever want to diminish what other people's things are. I find it so sad and disheartening to see people in fear all the time. Yeah. With whatever it is. I'm sure that, 50 years ago it was the Cold War. Oh God, like, it's gonna fucking happen. Like, can you imagine like that? Like, just get the fuck away. If it happens, it happens. Oh. And I will deal with it. I'm gonna try to be prepared, but I'm not gonna let it spend every waking moment doing that. I have way more other shit to do, and that's kind of where I feel like now. But coming here, I got to give myself a chance to get away from that, and then really notice, like, they got a lot of shit on their plate. But that's something that I don't think a lot of people, like, especially with the whole, if we're looking at the Capitol Hill thing, not that it's just because of COVID, but the whole, there's so much tension because we're on edge all the time. Yeah. So of course these are things that happen, regardless of how the election went for 2 months or whatever the fuck it went for, or anything like that. Like, people are on edge, so therefore that's
things are just built up. It was that with the Black Lives Matter thing. Yeah. What, in spring? Was it in spring?
It was beginning of the year. Yeah, it was like March. It was around the same time.
Just built up. People have been inside for like 2-3 months, and then this trigger just comes, which George Floyd, it was horrible indeed, but like it was overreacted afterwards. Like, people lighting shit on fire.
Washington.
For
I was
weeks.
there. I went to downtown Washington.
Yeah.
Where all what they call it, the Chaz zone. They have a couple different things, but like something militarized zone, like where they took it over.
Right. They deployed the military and shit.
Yeah, well, they also, people that were protesting, had their own zone that was theirs.
What?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Swear.
Okay, shit. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, the graffiti is still there.
Yeah.
They don't still own that zone or whatever the hell happened, but it was this whole. I'm not a Washingtonian, so I don't 100%. I went there and I was walking around downtown. I'm like, the fuck is this? Like, it goes from like kind of nice to everything is boarded up still. Yep. Like, all the businesses are boarded up because everyone broke all their windows and shit. And it's so crazy to think, like, and that's like a super liberal state in general. Yeah, that's how they react. I mean, if you look at even like scenes in a movie, right? It's always like the super nervous dude that's like, just stay back, and then he accidentally shoots or something like that. Like, that's what I picture, and that's where people are at. They're scared.
It's been like the American population. Yeah,
dude.
For sure.
And so if that's what you're around day in and day out, going to school, going to your job, blah blah blah, like, it takes a toll on you. Yeah. And I've said it before. I was so blessed to live with Rue through most of the last year, because I could come home and I could be like, fuck's happening, dude? And he's like, I don't know. Jeez. And then we both kind of were like, we can decompress here. Yeah. And go out and face the world the next day, But it's still just like, did you see this shit? Yeah. Dude, you know that you can't be out after 10 o'clock tonight? I'm like, what? Yeah. What are you talking about? He's like, yeah, they're doing the whole fucking thing because the protests. And I'm like, no, thanks for telling me. Like, I would have had no idea. I would have been going to get food and, it's crazy,
dude.
Yeah, so I'll say one other thing, since we're everywhere. You talked about what brought you to this moment. I don't know if I've said on here, but I'll kind of give a brief explanation. Yeah. I was on a poetry website many, many years ago, and I had met your sister, your oldest sister, on there, and we were both, I'm not going to share too much because I don't need to, but we were both angsty teens, and we related with each other, and we kept in contact since then. over the years, we switched platforms and blah blah blah, and then finally it was about 3 years ago, I guess like 3.5 years ago now. I was back in touch with her, and I was like, hey, remember how I always talked about like, what if I went to Sweden or something? Like, what if I go to Sweden? She's like, come here.
Yep.
You'll have a place to stay. And I was like, seriously? Like, she's like, yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy a ticket. And then like the next day, I think, or whatever, the next time I got paid, I bought the ticket. I'm like, yo, I'm coming on this date. And she's like, okay. I was like, holy shit, that was easy. Like, this wasn't even that hard. Yeah. I thought this was like this, I'll never actually get to meet her in person, and whatever. She's such a special person, but whatever.
Yep.
And then I fly out here, and then you guys were all super.
Had you even seen her before you came to Sweden?
No, it wasn't until I bought my plane ticket, and then I was like, hey. So I know you've seen my pictures. Like, I just want to make sure you're a real person and you're not gonna like murder me or whatever.
True.
Like, that's what my parents were worried about.
It's a fucking investment from a killer, though.
Yeah,
like,
no shit.
6 years in, like, oh, it's about to pay off.
Yeah. Well, you never know. Like catfishing could be a thing. Like she could just be some 50-year-old dude that was like, I just like writing poetry, like or something. So then she sent me a picture, and then we did the Skype where I talked to her and your other sister and your mom.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, okay. And your mom was like, here's our place, and showing all this. I was like, okay. And I was like, yeah, cool. As long as you guys are cool with it. Like, I think I'm the one that should be more scared because I'm going to like a new country and like who knows, right? But you guys also have to worry about, like, is this American gonna kill us with his guns or whatever?
I don't know. We just had like Michelle's, like, what's the word for it? Like, if she likes you, then we're all gonna like you. Like that's pretty much how we put it.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
She was just like, hey, I've got a friend that's going to come stay here.
Yeah, we were just like, well, okay. Like, when's he coming? Yeah. For sure, dude. Which is super crazy because she's like this not very social person. Like, she doesn't have like a lot of friends over all the time.
Yep.
And then like out of nowhere, just like, oh, hey, I got a friend coming. And we were like, wait,
US.
what? Yeah. And then what the fuck? Do you have friends in the US? Like, what? How did you meet him? And she's like, oh, don't worry about it. But he's coming here. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
I imagine now, like, she said yes without even telling you guys, and I bought the ticket and everything. Whatever. So I come here, and then I meet your whole family. You guys were in a different place at that time, but I just remember from my time there, like, I just stayed on the couch for 2 weeks is what it seemed like. Like, I had a bed, but I was up all the time, and there was always somebody. Your mom talked about, like, taking turns, like, staying
shifts.
up. But, like, there was always somebody to talk to, and, like, you were visiting. It was perfect timing because you were visiting because you had your job and stuff like that, and so you were back at that time too. So, anyway, I did that. It made a lasting impression on my life, and that's I've been ever since I left there. I was like, I'm going back there. Like, I don't know if this will be home or if whatever that looks like. It doesn't really matter. But I know that I have to go back there. Like, that's kind of the thing that I knew. I'm going to pause just for a second. I want to make sure this is recorded.
Do it.
I'm not going to lose all this fucking shit.
Hey.
Feeling good?
I'm feeling good. Feeling loose.
What time is that kiosk close?
9. 2 hours.
We got so much time, dude.
Oh, yeah. What do you need?
Get some fucking Oreos, dude.
Oreos.
I'm addicted right now.
Yeah.
It's like a little piece of home.
Yeah? Get some Reese's.
Oh, those are in the freezer. Have you?
All right.
You want to have one? Do you not like peanut butter?
I don't like peanut butter. No.
It's not peanut butter. It has peanut butter in it.
Yeah. I'm good, though.
All right. That's so good.
I don't usually snack. I snack when I'm hungover, and then I don't usually.
I forgot I had those. You have to freeze them. Freezing them is even better.
Yeah.
Which they're in the freezer. Okay. So we'll switch it up again. I have another question.
Yep, sure.
Since we just had one question and then I talked for probably like 30 minutes. Who fucking knows? All right, dude. This is the fun.
How many pre-written questions do you have?
I don't know, dude.
No, okay.
I can't tell. It's not a secret.
Yeah, okay.
I've been asking people usually the same 3 or 4 questions.
Yeah.
I have more questions written down though.
Okay, cool.
But who knows? We'll see where it gets to. You've heard this one, so I don't think I've asked you, but like, if you could do anything, right? Jeff Bezos walks through your apartment door and says, "Brother, let's actually fuck Jeff Bezos. Elon Musk's walking
Elon
through.
Musk today, yeah.
He's the new richest man in the world as of recently. So he comes in, he's like, Robin, whatever. Like, let's. If you could do anything in this world, if you could, whatever it is, money was no object. What would you do?
I think this is the first time in a really long, or ever, that I actually have an answer to it. I didn't used to know like what I wanted to, and I think I still don't completely know. But my guess is I thrive on feeling important, right? And I think most people do, and I like having a lot of shit to do. It's like the last 2 weeks of my studies, I had full-time studies, and I had 2 jobs. And I remember just like going to work, working for 8 hours, and then coming home, had a power nap for 2 hours to wake up, and then study at night for like 6 hours, and then I had another power nap for 3 just to go back. Like, and I just felt like people called me and were like, "Oh, do you want to do something this day?" I was like, "Nope," but I'm free like in 3 weeks, and yeah, whatever. Just the feeling of importance really drives me, and I got so much shit done. I felt so good all the way, like doing it. I want to. Basically, the end goal, if Jeff Bezos walks in, I would still study because I want my degree and I want to like know what I'm doing. I want to have a couple of businesses that I can run, like maybe 2 to 3 days a week, like from home with a laptop. Maybe visit it, like have a restaurant, maybe work there for a week, maybe have like a warehouse that I run or whatever it is, like a business.
Yeah,
feel important, like from that, and then do that, but then also have a lot of free time. Like hobbies.
Yep.
And then just have the financial freedom to explore my adventurous side.
Yep.
Like go hiking down the Grand Canyon like you did, or like just whatever I want to do. Just be like, oh, I can do this because I can do this. Not like there's no obstacle in the way. Yep. I want to have that, I think.
Yep.
And then family and like wife, kids, maybe someday, like when the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah.
But I think that's the end goal for me.
Do you think you need Elon Musk to come in here and give that to you?
I don't, which is super happy about that. We had a game a couple of months back with when Max was there. My best friend who also studies with me, and we played this game of like, would you rather? And then one thing was like, oh, would you lose your best friend for $1 billion or something? And I was like, no. And the answer is because I'm going to get there myself one day. And I know I'm on the track to get there. Dude. So, like, yeah. Like, I don't even need Elon Musk because I want to get there myself, too. So I think, yeah. I think for the first time in my life, like you said, a couple of weeks back, you said this is I don't know that you said this is the first time in my life, but I asked you that question. Like, if you could do anything. And you said what I'm doing right now, which is super cool. And I think I can honestly say the same answer. Hopefully I would be in the States already. I'm not, but I'm doing whatever I can to get there, right? Yeah. So like if I could do anything,
Elon Musk has any control over that shit.
Yeah, no. Dude, that's the thing. So if I could do anything, I would do what I'm doing now. I would work towards my goal. Yeah. I'm super happy with it.
I love that I love the answer, man. I love that everything you said, that's within reach.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we have dreams that again, it's like, oh, going to Sweden, I'll never quite get there. Like, it's all in here, dude. It's all such bullshit in here.
Oh,
yeah. All that stuff sound like I could absolutely see you doing it, and you're putting in the work right now. You're planting the seed, you're watering the seed, and things take time.
Yeah.
Right? It's not going to be next year that you're in that spot, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Might not even be 10 years. Who fucking knows? Maybe it is. You're 22, dude. That's crazy. I'm literally almost a decade older than you. You know what I was doing when I was 22? Heroin.
Yep. Which is crazy.
So you're you're actually putting in, you're sowing good seeds, right? I wouldn't even say like what I did was bad seeds, but it wasn't.
Dude, I've sown my fair share of bad seeds too, right?
I mean, like, it's all. Life's not good or bad. Yeah. And a lot of times I believe that, right? I believe that it's not like, do you know that? Oh, my buddy Garrett. I mean, this is the thing that you hear in AA, but he would always tell really good. Like the whole dude that says like, I don't know if this is good or bad for me, right? Like his son gets injured in the barn, like a horse tramples his leg, and then everyone's like, "Oh man, that's some bad luck." And he's like, "I don't know if it's good or bad." The next week, they come to draft people for the war.
Yeah.
They don't take his son because he broke his leg, and then they're like, "Oh, that's such good luck." And he's like, "I don't know if it's good or bad, right?" And just like the whole story is that, like, things just happen, and we can choose. I take it a step further and say we can choose to see the positive in it, right? Because I do choose to do that. There's a band. I'm always conflicted. There's a band that I love, August Burnt Red, and on one of their songs called Barbarian, he says at the end, "Optimism's not a choice; it's a belief." Right?
Yeah.
And I just said optimism, like being optimistic is a choice, seeing that as a choice. Yeah. But I kind of I'm with that song. Always stuck with me. That line always stuck with me because I'm like, yeah, it is. You have to have a belief in the good, in whatever, right?
Yeah.
Not that you have to. I choose to.
Yeah.
It all ends up being a choice. But like, I get the sentiment behind it of like, no, dude, you gotta believe this shit. You gotta believe that things are good in this world, not just, well, this thing's good and this thing's bad. Blah blah. Like, no, it's all to the good, right? I think that way. Like most of the people, with like COVID, they say this is a bad thing. To me, it's not a bad thing. I think that what it is it's shining the light on problems.
Yeah.
And then it's also taking away, like for me, it took away different paths that were fruitful for me.
Yeah.
And instead, I decided to say, instead of like sitting there saying like, myth, I want to do this thing, but I can't do it. Like, I'm like, okay, well, fuck that thing then. Let's go do these other things, right? And that's something I used to have on all these fucking tangents. I haven't talked on the podcast in a minute, dude. So I used to tell sponsees this, right? So they would talk about, I'd sit them down. This is usually around like the earlier part of the steps. Where it's like, all right, dude, so let me see your hand. They'd go like this. I'm like, okay. Well, sorry to tell you, I don't think you're ever going to be a concert pianist. How tall are you?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't know, 5'9".
Yeah, you're probably never going to be an NBA player, dude.
Yeah, probably not.
So, what are you going to do about that?
Like,
are you going to sit here and be a bitch and say, like, well, I want to be an NBA player. I want to be a concert violinist or pianist? Like, probably not going to happen, dude. I mean, you could try to make that happen, or there's literally infinite other things you could do. So, why not try to do those things? So, I'd say that because I'm like, alcohol, not really, not really going for you, right? You've tried it multiple times. You've tried to be a successful alcoholic. It doesn't seem like it's working. So what are you going to do about it? Are you going to sit here and say, like, but I really want to drink, though? Like, okay, you can do that like you've done before.
Yep.
Or you could say, okay, well, I'm going to go learn how to parasail. Or insert literally anything else here.
Yep.
You could do that. I don't know where I even fucking thought of that, but I guess that's what I thought for, like, COVID. Something bad happens, like, you learn to adapt. You learn to do what you can. I met so many people that show that. Any of those. There was this dude that I knew who was literally like almost like Stephen Hawking style. Like he had to have a little thing like this.
Yeah.
Like move and stuff. He was a painter.
He painted with his mouth.
He painted with his mouth, dude.
Yeah.
So he would
crazy.
And he would go out and do street painting because he wasn't like obviously like being an artist is already hard. But he would go street paint like. People have these different things where they bust or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what you guys call it here, but like have your little thing up there to make money.
Yeah.
And he'd sit there and do street art and with his mouth and his little fucking chair and shit. And it made him so happy. And then he got to talk to all these people because people were like, oh my God, this is so cool.
Yeah.
And he's just like, yeah, dude, like you can do anything you want to fucking do too. And they're like, oh, if he's saying it, like, of course it is. Like sometimes we need that extra like different level thing.
Yeah.
But that guy was the coolest thing that I thought about him, besides the fact he could paint with his mouth, like it would take anybody hundreds of hours to learn how to do that.
Yep.
So he was fucking happy, dude.
Yeah.
Like how crazy is that? I sit here. I mean, we don't need to compare ourselves to anybody else. That's a thing that keeps us down. A lot of times we use it to keep ourselves down or to push other people down. But it's still nice to be able to take joy in the fact that this dude's happy. Like,
yeah, and I have like so much more going for me to make myself happy.
And so, like, what's standing in the? So what it ends up making me do is ask, like, what's standing in the way of me being happy?
Yeah.
Not like I need to compare myself to this guy, but he's happy. So I can for sure be happy. So what do I need to fucking do, right? And yeah, dude, I think that bringing that back to what you just said with the answer, like that's what you're doing. You know what you like to feel, like you said, useful, accomplished, successful, whatever that means for you. It's absolutely doable to have some entrepreneurial spirit and have a couple things you're doing, and then the rest of your time, like when you're in work mode, you're in work mode. And then when you're doing all these things, your family, you have all the people do that stuff all the time, and they feel good doing it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then you're providing jobs for people, and that's awesome too, right? And then you provide this community, and then you can be the example. Like, part of me wants to have a business someday, so I can be transparent and tell people exactly how much I'm making, not being the.
That is one of my things too. I would like to do that and like have a salary chart, and then have like this is what the company earns chart.
Yes.
I know it's probably not going to happen. It might happen, but like that'll be so cool to be transparent with your employees and like, this is how much you make for the company, and this is how much you make thereafter. And then like, I think you'd have like a higher quality of life at that job than at any other job, because you're like, okay,
would too,
yeah, because you just see like, okay, they're being fair, they're being just, and like, oh yeah.
So Maria was she was going to school. She had a couple things, but she was wanting to be. There's a degree in ASU. I don't know the name anymore. You could take whatever majors you want and put them together to make your own fucking degree. Is kind of how I understand it to be. So she wanted to do like psychology or whatever, like counseling and business. So she took both of those. She'd take classes for both, and it would make this thing where she had to come up with. It was an entrepreneurial study degree, so you had to come up with a business model for how you're going to make these two things come together and make a thing.
Okay.
You could choose whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, interesting combo.
And you're in a class with people that chose different things than you, but you have to work with them and like come up with these. It reminded me, like, there's a lot of times they do that. Like, my buddy was a programming major. Their final, their like thesis was, I guess not thesis because that's a doctorate or whatever the fuck, but his final, like, for the whole degree was he had to make an app that no one else had made.
Cool.
And that's what he did.
What did he do? Just out of curiosity.
Let's see. He had a couple different ideas. That's where I get messed up, because I remember going to the gym with him. He was my gym buddy.
Yeah.
And he would say all the different things that he could do. I am not 100%. I'd have to ask him. But he had like a couple of these ideas. I'm like, that's not a thing. And then I looked it up. I'm like, holy shit, that's not a thing. Like, that's a great idea. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
But it was, a lot of them were like super basic. Like, you think of like an app for everything. Like, we're gonna try to look at seeing the aurora borealis, right?
Yeah.
And then your sister was like, "Hey, there's this app that tells you like when it's visible from whatever location." I was like, "Of course there is. Like, of course there's literally an app for everything." So that was their thing. And so Maria was taking this class. She had to come up with how she could make these things go together. She started doing a bunch of research into sustainable businesses.
Yeah.
And also like transparent businesses. And they're the minority for sure. But there's ones out there where the CEO makes $250,000 a year, and his right-hand man makes $250,000 a year, and that's the max that anybody makes this job, right? Is that amount or whatever it is. This is this one particular company. Any profit they made, they put back into the company. So he had like monthly things that he told the employees, like, "Hey guys, last quarter we made $1 million, like." So we're putting that to getting new computers for everybody, and we're putting it towards this.
Yeah.
He's not giving himself a secret bonus or anything like that. Or if there is a bonus, it literally is split between every employee. So even the lowest people get $2,000, and he gets $2,000.
Yeah.
And what that's the whole point is that hopefully everyone that's there feels a part of a community, a family. That we're all in this together. That there's not somebody at the top scamming us and just using us, because that's how I felt at a lot of.
That's how I felt at all my jobs. Like generally,
So, aside from like the pizza job that I had, but that's because everyone knows we're not making much money anyway. Like, who gives a shit? But when I was in insurance, I'm like, dude, you know the motherfucker that's giving us this town hall meeting to be more approachable. He's making millions, bro.
Yep.
And I'm getting my $50,000 a year. And I'm the one doing. I mean, he's probably got a lot of shit he does. I don't know what it's even like to do that.
Yeah.
But you can't sit there and fucking like say, "Oh, you guys are so important to us," and they'll never give us a fucking raise. You know, like it's such. I don't know, man. So I want to have a business like that where I can be the change, right? I can have people there that talk about working for my company for a long time, or maybe even in spite of making more money, they're like, but I know this company's doing good things with their fucking, like they're not out scamming people, and yeah, money's going to be attractive to some people. That's all they want, but there's a lot of people that would want to be a part of something.
Do you know what Maria's business model was for the?
Oh man, you're testing my knowledge. So she had stopped. Oh, she finished up school. That sucks. Let's see. She had a couple. So we talked a lot about this stuff. I feel like I'm so on the back foot right here, man.
Yeah.
What a great question. And I feel shitty because I don't remember 100% at this moment. There are. I know she wanted to do certain things with like sustainability, like environmental stuff like that. But I remember one of the ideas she had, like one of the more, is that there's these people, like, I don't know, you're on Instagram, right? I don't know how much you use it.
Yeah.
There are obviously people out there that are not just celebrities. There's people out there trying to be like positive influences.
Yeah.
And instead of posting like, check out my new Ferrari or whatever, shit like that, or like my life, they're saying like, hey, what are you doing for childhood you today? Right? Like free counseling, free therapy, free creating these things. And they make a whole model of just spreading positivity and inviting a community, and then through that, then they come up like workbooks and stuff like that that actually help people. And they're giving free advice out, but then they make things by their social media presence, right? It was something to do with that. Like she was really inspired by that, and she actually got me into a bunch of that. Where I deleted a bunch of the people that I was following before, like bands, and not that there's anything wrong with bands, but I don't need to see bullshit all the time. Like I want to open it up and see like stuff that might actually benefit me. Like, hey, what are you doing for yourself today? How are you healing? What are you know? Instead of like I open it up and I see just memes, which memes are fucking great. But like I had been following like all of these D&D pages, and I was just like, oh, more D&D stuff. Like every time I open it up, I just like I'm not thinking about stuff that, in my opinion, like really matters to me. It's kind of like to the side. Like I love D&D.
I don't think people realize how much that actually influences you. Like what you see every day, like that influences you like crazy. If you actually write like positive messages to yourself on like a board like this, or like or whatever, if you see that every day, like subconsciously it has like a tremendous effect on you. And when you just scroll Instagram models or memes or like D&D, you're like what you instead do the next day is like, oh, I'm gonna play some D&D. But if you scroll and you see like, oh, what did you do for yourself today? The next day you're gonna be like, oh, I should do something for myself today. Like,
I started doing like little things myself. They say things. I'm working on one right now, like my New Year's resolution thing, and maybe I'll actually post more about it. Is we were talking about like what to be happy. I'm trying to do something for myself every day and recording it of things that I'm doing for myself to be happy.
How are you doing so far? Have you kept up?
I've missed a couple.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I'm keeping up with it. Michelle has actually kept me more accountable for it. She's like, hey, what'd you write today? And I was like, I didn't. I didn't write yesterday either. But I want to do that because it's so small, but I know how incremental. Like suddenly, by the end of the year, you have 300 things you did for yourself that were out of the norm. Right? It wasn't just like, oh, I woke up and brushed my teeth today. Let me write that down as a win. Like, okay, there's times in my life where that was a win. For myself now, that's already something I do. I'm getting to the point now where I can't put going to the gym down as a win because I'm already doing that
What? I think that's a total win, though.
No, it was for like multiple days. But now I'm like, oh, I'm actually just doing it every day. So I can't, how long do I put that as a win for before I need to branch out and get more uncomfortable, do something else that's different, do something else that...
What's the latest thing you did?
Let's see, I'm trying to think what was yesterday. I don't know what yesterday was. Fuck, dude. It's such good questions. No, I think what I did was, I put going over to the neighbors for elk for dinner. We went and had the meal, and I got to hang out with him and his wife and his kids, and I got to see their room, and I got to be a part of that. and that was something that I don't do every day,
Yeah.
and that was actually super filling for me, right? Like I got to go over there, and I was like, dude, nice, like, how cool is that?
Yeah. They're really cool people, man. They're so awesome.
I was thinking I'd have him on here too. Like,
you totally should. Oh yeah.
I know I should, because he could go fucking Goggins on people.
Oh yeah.
So energetic, but like that's like what I did recently, and then I don't know, every day, whether it's writing, like sometimes it's just the fact that like I took an extra time and I've been doing writing, or putting up one of the podcasts. Like that's been a win, especially this last month. But eventually, like I want that just to be autopilot. I want to challenge myself to. Like I ultimately want to put up more content. I don't want to just have this once a week thing.
Yeah.
And I know that it's hard to do more.
Yeah.
Like, and it's hard to do more that you've never done before. This is becoming a lot easier. Like I don't even have to really think. At least when the audio file's not fucked up, it's something I can get done in just a couple hours.
Yeah.
But I want to have content that I'm putting out every day, because that's what I see. Like what I want as a person is to see stuff every day, and not just a picture of nature or something like that. I want content every single day, or every other day, or whatever it is. I don't have to put myself to this highest standard. David Goggins only puts out a video like once a week.
Oh yeah.
But if he was starting right now, I guarantee you he wouldn't be putting out just one thing a week. You know what I'm saying? At least I don't think that he would. He's already established.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to. People that I look up to, like Russell Brand, he posts something every day. It's a clip of like, how are we all coping with the whole Capitol Hill thing, or like,
who's Russell Brand? I recognize the name.
He's been on Joe Rogan a few times.
Yeah.
He's an actor. He's also a stand-up comedian. I don't know about really anymore. He was in Forgetting Sarah Marshall. He was the.
Oh, that guy. Oh yeah. Oh, of course, yeah. Dude, I love him. Yeah, he's awesome.
Oh, he's incredible. So he has his own podcast that he has like a paid subscription thing for. But he puts clips on Instagram and on YouTube, so you can watch. And that's what I want to do with this. So the excuse LT says like, well, he's got people that he paid to just clip stuff and make it really professional.
Pretty
and
much.
Here I am, don't have that, so I have to do it myself. What's stopping me from doing it though? Not shit. My own
Cyberpunk maybe.
Playing video games or whatever. Just like I can find. Here's the thing: if Cyberpunk was there, I'd have tons of other distractions. If there's something I don't want to do, why don't I want to do it? Because it costs work, and then also for all the other fears, the same fears of like why it took so long to put the first podcast up. Because I was like, shit. Once I do it, then there's no going back. Now I'm like in it, right? And but that's a good thing. Like,
how does it feel looking back on it now? Your podcast experience.
I'm happy, dude.
Yeah.
Obviously, we always have these ideas of like what it's going to look like, and like, it surpassed my expectations.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah. The thing is, I don't have that much, but then you get ones like the Chris one that has like 500 views. I'm like, what? That's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
Like that, but that's crazy good. So it feels like every single one I put out is just going to keep, whether the direction is going to keep going up, especially if I keep adding content, doing other things. So I'm working on my yoga thing. I want to just start putting videos up of like meditations. I'd like to have like group meditations, like online, maybe via Zoom, where because I've done that before.
Yeah.
Where we just like to invite the community to be a part of these things and make things feel more tangible. Like these are the ideas I have. Like, well, why don't I start going towards those? That's what I have. That's what I ask myself when I go to sit. Say, okay, this is what you really want. Like, what do you have to do to get there?
Yeah.
You're already doing this thing. That's cool. Keep doing this thing. What else do you want? And so that's kind of where I'm asking myself. And luckily, like I said earlier, at the time, I have no excuses, really.
No.
I don't. It's just a matter of doing. Right? There's another saying in AA that reminds me of that, where it says, it's not for people who need it. It's not for people who want it. It's for people who do it.
Yeah.
Right? And that's like that with anything in life. It's not, no one's ever going to hand you anything.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get something just because you want it most of the time.
What do you think what is the reason that you haven't gotten started with like some of these ideas so far? Is it just procrastination or like fear of failure or?
There's fear of failure, and then there's fear of, like, there's perfectionism in me.
Yeah.
I don't identify with that much, but it's there, right? It's like, well, when I do it, I want to know what the fuck I'm doing, and I also want it to be really good, and I want every single person that watches it to want to be in the next one, and blah blah. Like, these are just unreasonable expectations.
Yeah.
But they're real in here. Trust me. They still feel real. So it's a matter of, that's why I try to ground myself every day. That's why I try to just listen and be able to say, like, okay, is this what's real, or is this what my mind's telling me? It's this thing. So that's kind of, it's a combination of those things. And I know that just like with the podcast, like, I build up my momentum, and then eventually I'm just gonna do right. I've been practicing, like, trying to put up more things, trying to ask people questions, trying to, even when I'm walking through the forest, like, I have a thought, I just post that.
Yeah.
Right? Just to get more comfortable with doing whatever. I'm not afraid of looking stupid, but there's always all these thoughts, like, you only get one chance to make a first impression, right? Like, so I want that first impression to be really good, but the truth is it's not going to be.
Yeah.
It's going to be what it is.
Dude, I enjoyed your first podcast, though. That was a good first impression.
Thanks.
I think that's my favorite by far so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've heard that from, obviously, I think a lot of people watched it because it was only 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But I definitely I'm influenced by Joe Rogan, where we go for however long we need to go.
Yeah.
But I know that's like bite-sized stuff, and a lot of people said you should just talk about, like, from close friends that, like, have a lot of criticism in a good way, because I'm always looking for feedback.
Yeah.
They're like, dude, just make like a 10-minute video of yourself talking about grief, or make a video of you talking about this thing, and it's just you saying what you want to say, and then post that.
Yeah.
And you can put that on TikTok and Instagram or whatever, or do a live thing on Instagram and then post, like, and then that's content for you too. And then you're talking, and then you're getting people engaged, and people are more likely to watch that. And then maybe the people that watch the 10-minute videos will watch the hour-long podcast.
Possibly, yeah.
Because we're trying to, like, make it so it's cyclical, right? Or I don't know if that's the right word, but, like, each one feeds into the other.
Yeah.
Maybe some people like to watch long podcasts and listen to it, and they'll also feed into these things, and then vice versa.
Dude, I think you could do, like, one of these, you've seen these, like, meditation apps? I bet you can have some, right? Or, like, go to sleep apps.
Yeah.
Like, because you have a voice that kind of, like, it just, I don't know, it hits this level of soothing when you listen to it.
Nice.
I just had your first podcast on at work, and I had this super monotone, is that word? Yeah, monotone work to do, like, just unpacking. Monotonous.
I'm not monotone.
No.
It's monotonous job.
Monotonous job, yeah. In which I just got lost in it, and then having your voice, I just realized, I looked up and, like, oh shit, 30 minutes have passed, and now, like, I have to, it's just this, like, chill voice. I think you could do like meditation. Or, like,
I haven't put any up on YouTube, but I have recorded a couple of meditations.
Really?
Two things that you just made me think of. Your mom says that.
Yeah.
Her room is under my room, so she says, like, when I play D&D, she's like, you, unlike the other guys in this house, don't have this fuck, like, or whatever. like I'm not very up and down. I'm more
this constant.
Yeah, I'm just kind of just flowing, and I don't, I test the mic and I say if I get heated or whatever, but, like, I'm not actually usually getting there. I mean, I do, trust me, I'm human. But there's that one, and then my old buddy Devin, who's on first podcast, he does all this audio stuff. I remember him telling me, dude, you could record audiobooks.
Yeah.
Like,
for sure.
I do that for people, and you have a voice where you could just record people's audiobooks. And I was like, see, that's another thing to consider. What if that's how I end up making my income? Like, I just record a couple audiobooks, and then I keep doing podcasts and travel and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like, who knows, dude? Because I've heard some of the I don't know how many audiobooks you listen to. Some of those people dog shit, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, not to judge them, but I am.
I've heard, like,
some that
a couple.
Are just so fucking robotic.
I just stopped listening to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't stand listening to this voice. I'd want, like, if David Goggins had me do his book, like, how cool would that fucking be, dude? Or something.
I don't think you have the voice for Goggins' book. No, you got to be Goggins to do Goggins' book.
But if I did it for one of my other, like, meditation books or for spirituality or anything, I could do sci-fi shit too. I mean, fucking cares? I don't know. But again, is that something I want to explore? Do I want to put the seeds out for that? Do I want to start watering it? Do I want to start putting applications in for things and say, hey, there's this? Like, there's so many different ways to go with that.
Have you heard of Upwork?
Yes.
Yeah. That's like a site where you can kind of get these, like,
a couple
one-time gigs. Yeah. I think that they have, like, because my mom used to do this, like, voice acting thing.
Yeah.
Where she recorded.
That.
Yeah.
She was doing that when I was there.
Oh, yeah, right.
The elephant thing.
Yeah, so like you could do those ones too, like to get a foot in.
Exactly. And I had a friend that showed me there's opportunities everywhere. I could go to all these specifics, but even just like with podcasts or with recording things, whatever, like this doesn't look like much, but I know like it's so cool how all the stuff that I did in my past helps with this because I've been producing music for 15 years.
Yeah.
So now I know how to use this shit so I can edit my own podcast. So I have that skill. I don't have to pay somebody to make it sound good. Because I've listened to a lot of people that have like a starter set like I do, and they don't know how to use this shit, and it doesn't sound as polished. There's a lot of background noise. There's a lot of whatever. Not that every one of mine's perfect. I still am learning how to use what I have, but now that I have my own system set up, I got it.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know, man. There's like I said, I see such an abundance in this world. There's not like I think I limited myself for so many years.
I think so many people do.
Man, you're getting me talking. My voice is like,
I got a question for you, dude. Since you got to Sweden, what is the thing that's had the biggest impact on you? What do you think you're going to be like taking with you for the rest of your life this time?
So you asked me what has impacted me like most here? What
since you got to Sweden?
Since I got to Sweden, and obviously we've had a little bit of technical issues, but my answer is definitely the neighbor, right?
Yeah,
he has been super cool. I got to see his whole. He's got a family. He's got 2 little girls, which we know, right? Yeah. And his wife.
Adorable girls.
Yeah, so cute. And like, it's made me really reflect on myself and where I've come from and where I'm at. Because he's like 4 or 5 years older than me, so he was my age when he was just finding out, like, oh shit, I'm gonna have a kid.
Yeah.
And it's been awesome because there's been a couple of experiences with him. Like you've gone out with us, we've gone sledding with the kids.
Yeah.
You've known the kids more. They came over for one day while we gave them kind of their date night thing or whatever. And
it was such a good day, man.
Dude, I know it was.
I enjoy that.
Being able to just be around them, like it's cool. It's like a vision for me, right? It's a vision for where I could be in the future. It's not so scary. It used to be the scariest thing in the world to have a family. And now I went today with him to pick up his daughter from school, and they ran up and just gave me a huge hug.
Yeah.
Like when they saw me, they're like LT, and then they came up, and that felt awesome, right? Yeah. To be like, they remember me. They like seeing me. They want to show me little things they fucking made, like all these like little things. They're not even my kids.
Yeah. Did even Stella call you LT?
Not so much. No. She has before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Usually it's Uni that talks. Yeah. Or I don't want to talk about their names, but it doesn't really matter. I guess they're kids. Yeah. Whatever. Anyway, there's that, and then I went. I went with him to the pool and stuff, and it was just cool because he took one of the kids, and then I was with the other younger one, and he was gone for like 2 minutes, and he comes back and he's like, "Dude, I just realized I trust you with my kid's life," and I was like, "I know, it's fucking crazy to think like."
After a couple of weeks,
he doesn't even know. Yeah, he doesn't even know me that well, but he trusts me, and I because I'm trustworthy though too, right? And she was cool with it too. She was just hanging out, like fucking jumping around or whatever, and I just made sure she didn't drown.
Yeah.
There's that, and then it made me think back too to like before I left Arizona, or when I was living with my parents. My cousin's kid was there, and she was 5 years old. Yeah. And she was like talking, like, "Where's Lawrence at?" And she wanted to sit with me whenever we went out to eat, and like all these. And I don't know how to be around kids. I've never been around kids my whole life. I'm an only child, privileged. Like I never had to be around kids. I never had to.
How do you feel about that, being an only child? Like, do you feel like you missed out on something?
See, it's so hard because I only know how it is to be an only child. I think that things that I missed out on were bonding with a sibling about how crazy my parents are.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
I know.
Yeah. Having lived with, 5 siblings at one time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a thing that I know I didn't get. So I kind of just had to process everything myself. But because of that, I feel like there's a lot of introspection and stuff that I got where I was able to, I had to just be. I got into being silent with myself a long time ago. I have very good imagination too because we had a backyard and I'd go out and play by myself. I had friends, but like, you know how it is. Like, even if you had friends, you're not there all the time. So I'd go out to the backyard and I would just create shit. I think that has helped me in my life, being creative musically, D&D. Like, it's like I'm a little kid again running around my backyard. It made me think too, like with with the kids and stuff like that. Like back when I was with Maria, we had talked, right? Because we had dated for I don't know, a few years, 2 years almost. And the conversation come up like, you know, because of course like that's a possibility, but not something we're planning for. But it was one of those, like, I had a lot of life-changing moments with her, but one of the life-changing moments was like when we started talking about this one time, and she's like, I would be so happy to have a kid. Not right now. We would always preface it with like, no, not right now. Like, I don't want to have a kid right now, but like, I would be so happy to have your kid because I think you would be the best fucking dad I could think of. And like for all of them, she's like, you're so patient, you're loving, you understand, like you have so much to give, like in all these ways. Like I couldn't imagine a better life for a kid, right? And obviously, like, you know, she's a little biased because she's with me, but that was the first time that I ever thought about it, and I wasn't scared shitless of having a kid. And I was thinking, like, I want to have a kid with her too. I think she has some of the most amazing qualities I've ever seen in a person, and I think that that's what the world needs, right? It's more a combination of super genes.
Had you ever seen yourself having a kid, like, ever? Was it in your plan before? No? Were you anti-kids?
I never liked to be anti-anything, but I was like, that's just not for me.
Yeah.
Like I'm good with not ever having one.
Yeah.
It just seemed like more of a pain in the ass. All the arguments of like, well, the world's fucked up. Why would I bring someone into this? Blah, blah, blah. My life's not even straight. How could I ever have a kid? But like for the first time, I was like, damn, like, I could have a kid. I was like, I don't feel scared about that. If we talked about that, like there was ever a miracle baby, right? Or past birth control and everything, super sperm, ooh, whatever, fucking made a kid, I'd be like, okay, this is it. I'm gonna love the fucking shit out of this kid, and it's gonna be a girl because I just know that's what's gonna happen. That's why I bond with him, because he has 2 little girls. Like, of course he does, right?
Yep. And which his wife said, by the way, was just like karma.
That's like, what I feel like for me. That's what I've always felt like. Like, oh, that's because there's so many times in life, like whether you think it's God testing or whatever, like, we can deal with anything that's put in front of us. And that's the thing that scares you. Okay, well that's the thing that you're gonna have to deal with. Like, you don't want to have 2 girls. Well, first 2 kids you have are gonna both be girls. Like, good luck, motherfucker. And but that was that changed my opinion of it, and I realized that it's because I was so unstable earlier in my life, and because I wasn't with partners that I really fully trusted or loved or thought that they would make a good mom.
Yeah.
No offense to any of them. Like, I wasn't either. I don't think they would say, yeah, I want to have that dude's kids. Like, he's unstable as fuck. Like, I don't even know if he's going to stay sober or not. Like, what the fuck? And so anyway, that was a change of perspective. And then now I'm here, and he's 5 years older than me, and this is like what my life can be. Right? I have this beautiful wife and these kids that I just love it, you know. And I know that we all make mistakes. And we all, you know, I mean, even if I joked about that with Rita too, where it's like, even if I was like the most perfect dad, like my kid's still gonna go to therapy. Because I know that I'm not perfect, right? Like the missing the dance recital that one time, and that fucked her up, and she didn't trust me after that. Blah blah blah. Like, you know, we're all gonna make these mistakes, and that's why I don't think that there should be this much of a label on the therapy or trying to reprocess childhood stuff. Right? I did a lot of work with I don't know if I really talked about EMDR in here, but I did EMDR, which is like past trauma stuff, like PTSD stuff.
Yeah.
I did that with like my friend David that killed himself. I wasn't even that young. I think I was like 13. I mean, I'm in the grand scheme of things, I was young. I wasn't like a little kid, but there was things that I had just completely blocked out that I didn't even remember about that time because it was so traumatic. My brain just like, block this shit out. And that helped so much. It was so amazing to now come at it. And I had these visuals like of current me being able to like, for the longest time, man, I'm going all over the place. So for the longest time, it was like 14-year-old me, 13-year-old me taking care of me.
Yeah.
All throughout my addiction, it was like, picture 14-year-old T like dragging this adult by the hand, like, come on, we're fucking getting through this.
Yeah.
And I had no fucking idea what I was doing. I was in such a, whether it was self-harm or whether it was drugs or whatever the fuck it was, I was lost. And there's this little kid that's just putting his feet together, like trying to help this grown man get the fuck through life. And going back and reprocessing it, I finally felt like I was able to tell that kid, like, dude, like, thank you. You've done awesome.
Yeah.
Let me, like, just fucking hang out with all the other versions of me in the past. Like, I got this thing.
Dude, you paint such a word picture. I can see that as, like, a commercial for, like do this shit. Yeah, like, honestly.
Dude, no, but, like, that's the visual I had.
Yeah.
And I never identified as a visual person because I'm not a big fan of, like, people talking about visual meditations and stuff like that. But I can do them. That's what I realized. Like, I like the let's not talk for 90 minutes. Just see where things go, right? But I don't need to just do what I like all the time. Anyway, when I was in EMDR, it was this thing, like, you have these buzzers, or that's what she had for me. There can be tapping, there can be lights, but I had these buzzers. And I'm sitting here, and I do it for like 5 minutes, and she's like, what did you notice? I think that's the question she would say. And I would tell her, and she's like, let's go with that. And we do that for the whole like 60 to 90 minutes I was in therapy. Yeah. That was the session. She didn't do shit. She didn't ask me more questions. It was just your processing.
Yeah.
What it's doing is it's triggering both sides of your brain as you're going back, and you have these visuals that come up. And that was like me putting everything together. It was like me telling young me, like, dude, you've been fucking trucking along, like, but I'm good.
Yeah.
Like, thank you. I got to finally be nice to that version of me. That was, there's a whole other story that goes along with that, but it was nice to just, for that kid, it was like, finally. Like, I picture, like, the kid in the movies,
I'm fucking tired,
like, making dinner for the mom that passed out or something like that, and, like, dragging the mom up to bed, like, I don't know if you've seen, like, things like that, but the alcoholic mom.
Yeah.
That was that kid, but for many years for me, right? Like, you're doing this shit again? God damn it, you fucking idiot. Come on. And I'm like, what? What the fuck is wrong with you, kid? Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, so I don't know where that came from, but EMDR.
How long did you do that for?
I did it for the last year. I would have done it more, but I moved.
Yeah. So you quit to go here?
No, we came. I talked to her about this. She was actually, the last week that I was there, I saw her. It was funny. I saw her, I saw my massage therapist, and I saw my energy guru.
Yeah.
So, mind, body, spirit, right? And we came to a spot where we finished up whatever EMDR we were on, like the last memory. There's still more we could do, but we came to a pretty healthy spot.
Yeah.
That's where you're at. Cool thing is the journey's never done, right? If I get to another spot later in life and I want to continue to pick up and heal some other things, I can, but I took care of some deep shit.
Yeah.
And it was difficult. Like, it's not like easy to do that shit. Like, no one wants to fucking look at traumatic events from years ago.
Yeah.
It's not fun, dude. And it's draining. That's the thing I didn't realize how she says that. You're like, how draining could like an hour session of anything? Like, I've been in like sparring sessions where I still went home and like hung out.
Yeah.
This, like, I would be driving home and I'm like, I tried to hang out with a friend one time after, and I was like, I gotta go. Like, I was there for like 30 minutes or an hour, and I was like, I gotta go home and go to sleep. And I'd go to sleep for like 6 hours, dude. And my body was just like, because you're literally bringing up all that trauma to your body's experiencing it again, but you're in like a healthier state of mind, but all that shit's released. And then even at the end of the session, you kind of pack it away, but it's still there.
Yeah.
So you have to like you're kind of, like you talked, I don't know if you talked about that over here, but borrow that's a different thing.
Oh yeah.
Farming for the future.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say for Sweden, that's been like one of the more impactful things, was just seeing that that's possible, and seeing that he's happy, right? Seeing that he's not without faults, but being a dad and loving and trying his best, right?
Yeah.
And how it's like, shit, like I can do that, dude. Like
so kind of gaining a role model.
Yeah, I don't have to have everything figured out. And I don't want to be exactly like him, but and I'm not saying that a bad way. Like there's a lot of things, but like it's cool to see that that's possible, and it's not so scary. It's not like this. Because I've had so many friends that just like knock someone up when they were like 19, 18, and it's like, what the fuck is that like? This dude waits till he's like 31.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, shit, it's like a lot more doable. That sounds reasonable, actually. You know.
Do you at all have like a biological clock on children?
I think I'd want to do it before I'm 40.
Yeah.
Luckily, we're dudes, so
yeah.
so we don't have like biology telling us we can't. Because I could be 60 and still knock someone up. But
speaking of the neighbor, by the way, and the subject, he mentioned he read some study somewhere. I don't know how accurate it is because I haven't like checked it, but evidently now some study says that kids from dudes who are at a certain age and higher are like more prone to certain diseases. So actually, age from men actually affects it too.
I could see that being a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I think 30s for anything. Like I know that's when girls that's when their shit starts going.
Yeah. It is.
I mean, they don't hit menopause then, but that's like they can have kids from like 14 till like 40. I think it's like 40, maybe later 30s.
Yeah.
That's usually why women in their 30s are like, I need to get on this. Well, like, if I had a kid when I'm like 35, let's just say that, then for their whole childhood, I can still be I can still play ball with them. I can still, I'm not going to be like, I saw some of those kids when I was growing up, they have like a 60-something-year-old parent in elementary school. Like,
barely has enough energy to
I don't want to be, I want to be able to pick up these kids sledding and shit, right? And I know dudes, luckily, again, we hit our prime later, 30 and 35. UFC fighters, like when they're like 34, 33 or whatever, that's when they are champ.
Yeah.
You know? So I think from like till 55, I can still pick up like then they're pretty much more grown up. But I want to be able to be active. And I might not. Here's the thing: I might not be able to. Maybe I get fucking thrown in a wheelchair or some shit like that. But like ideally, I'd want to be able to do that. I want to be able to do things.
If nothing else, be mentally active too, because that diminishes.
Yeah,
the same rate, right?
Too. Yeah. So I'd say before 40.
Yeah.
But I'm not in any hurry. Like I said, I lost my partner, so I'm not even really looking for anything like that. But I could see it being a thing, and not so scary of a thing, which is cool.
Yeah.
You know, just adopt some fucking kid.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question about that. Interestingly, though, because honestly, is it not just 100% selfish to want to have your own like, which is true because it is like no, it has to has my eyes, right? And then like I gotta see myself in this. Why would I don't get the stigma of like adoption? It's only a second choice and never the first choice, right?
I mean, you do understand it, though, right?
I kind of get it because I kind of feel it too.
Yeah, you do.
But I kind of want to like.
That's why it's so
like stop doing that. If there's kids that are out there like and not being able to like have food every day, and you want a kid, how is it not a win-win? Like,
you know, I've thought about this a lot too. There is obviously that's like I know Christianity is not a big thing here.
No,
but
religion overall.
That's like a thing that's very looked up upon.
Yeah.
In a lot of like, because I've been in a lot of churches and stuff. And there's people that are somewhat affluent that can afford to. They will adopt a kid. So the one thing you have to have the means to adopt a kid because, especially in America, it's expensive as fuck to adopt a kid. You have to pay tens of thousands of dollars just to purchase the kid.
Purchase the kid.
I mean, in a way, you do. You have to pay, and you have to pay for all their medical shit. So you already have to be in a position where you do that. It's not considered a necessity. It's considered you're making a choice to have this. So that's already, and usually you're going from another country. You have to do all these checks and backgrounds and blah blah blah. They make it a pain in the ass. But there's people that do it, and it's very looked from every church that I've been to. Not that I'm a huge church person, but it's very looked up upon. It's celebrated when people do adopt a kid.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, that's like one of the best things you can do. Like literally, Like that's like some of like the most holy shit you can do is to give some kid that had no fucking chance
just a life,
an opportunity and love,
yeah.
right? They might not have got from, because everyone knows foster care is not the best. Everyone knows orphanages suck, right? They're not usually producing the best people, even though like some people come from that. Because we can come from anything, I believe that. But it doesn't give people a leg up. Right?
Do you think that we are a product of our circumstance, or like our individuality? Right.
It's both.
Yeah.
I think it's both. Because this is where I'm coming back to answer your question. Like, it's partially circumstance.
Yeah.
Because if you have opportunity, this is where you get into like, this is where people talk about privilege and stuff like that. Like, if you grew up in a house, I was talking to somebody else. Like, we were talking about David Goggins, right?
Yeah.
Awesome dude. And we were at the gym for this. Maybe we were. And how his Cam Hanes is this other guy who's awesome. He's a bow hunter. His son works out with him all the time, and Cam Hanes is one of the most disciplined fucking dudes you can ever meet.
Yeah.
And he's always talking about like keep hammering, keep fucking.
The guy who broke the pull-ups record, right?
It was his son that did it.
Oh yeah.
So his son though, like learned this from an early age. Like you don't stop fucking, and he's learned like the positive qualities of his dad are imparted to him.
Yeah.
Right. And we all have positive and negative we learn from different parents. I was like, dude, what if there was a kid that was born? Like, what if David Goggins was born and raised by fucking Cam Hanes? Like, now it's not guaranteed that he would come out as a superhuman, but there's a better chance of it, right? If he was told every day, like, you only quit whenever your mind fucking quits, like, keep going, keep going. If that's put in your mind, like, then suddenly, like, maybe he doesn't have to go through the same hardships to develop the mental idea that he can just stay disciplined and accomplish what he wants, instead of the way he really did it, which was have a shit childhood, be dumb as fuck.
I kind of think he had to do that.
He did.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, see, this is the thing.
Yeah, that you talked about before. Like you had to.
Yeah. But I mean, just like in general, the way you just said that is like, I feel like that's back to like some conversation when we first got here, where I said, like, I believe that things had to happen a certain way. So that's the thing with David Goggins. Just keep that in the back of your head.
Yeah.
David Goggins had to have that to become who he is, and to have. I'm looking up there because I have what would Goggins do, because it's so funny. So he had to, but I think in general, if we're looking scientifically, if you took 100 kids that were like that and had them all raised by this dude, I think the majority of them would be more successful in the long run. Just that doesn't guarantee that they will be, because they might still be like, how come my mom gave me up in the first place? And they never get past that because it's so traumatic to them. And there's nothing wrong with that, but there's a lot of people that push past the whole, like, you know what? I can stay here and be the victim, or I can look at what opportunity I've been given.
Be the victor.
Be the victim. That's a good way to look at it. I've never heard that. I'm sure maybe I've heard that, but I've never heard it really. So, going back to adoption, there's part of us that it would be like it's a very noble thing, right? To take somebody that no one wanted and put them as a part of your family, which is the closest thing that we can do in this life, right? And hopefully the people that are doing that aren't trying to exploit them. They're just trying to love them, because every person deserves love, and they're in an opportunity where they can financially afford to love somebody.
Yeah.
And there's tons of people that do like foster homes too. Like, that's another thing that's not glamorized, but because there's people that take advantage of the system, at least in the US. I don't know how it is here, but like, you get paid by the government partially to take in other kids.
Yeah, we get to partially.
There's some people though.
It doesn't work the same way. No.
There's some people though that treat the kids like shit and just collect the checks. But then there's also people out there that want the best for the kids, and for the 6 months to a year that they're with them, they love the shit out of them.
Yeah.
Because they want to do good. And so as far as like not abortion, it's the opposite. Some kids get aborted. As far as adoption goes, there is that. Like, we want to help other people, but there's the biological imperative that we pass along our genes. That's huge. That's bigger than That's bigger than here. This is like, that's some monkey shit to try to think about. That the reptilian part of you says like, my genes are the best. I'm the best person. We need more people like me.
Which is so fucking stupid.
It is, but is it though? Like
it is. It is 100% stupid.
Here's the thing.
I believe. I don't know.
I'm gonna say from my perspective.
Yeah.
I'm LT, dude.
Yeah.
I'm fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Right? There's a better chance that if I had a kid, he would take some of my awesomeness, and then I could be working with a partially awesome kid, and then make him be even better than I was.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm getting someone else's, I've seen this a lot in, especially working in addiction. You know how many people that are addicts are adopted? Fuck ton. Because they have shit. I mean, I can't answer this. I'm not a fucking psychologist. Don't take everything with a grain of salt. What I'm saying, but they have all these unprocessed things. They felt abandoned since they were a kid.
Yeah.
And even though they had a loving family that tried to take care of them, they still felt abandoned.
Yeah.
That they weren't good enough, and that somebody thought that they weren't good enough, and that stays with them. And they have to try to process this shit when they're 40 years old. That they never were okay with it, even though they pretended to be.
Yeah.
I think that has something to do with it too. Of like, I don't know, you can take in a kid, but no matter how much you love them, it's still up to them, right?
True.
And you're still taking that same gamble on a kid that you have, right? Because I remember telling my mom, I wished I fucked with my mom a lot. Not even like I told my mom like, I wish like I didn't choose to be born. You fucking brought me into this world. You selfish fucking cunt. Like, how dare you? Right? If I could kill myself, I fucking would. And I remember I'd make my mom cry. I just felt bad, right? Yeah. So I wanted to make everyone else feel bad. Like, that's really what it comes down to. I'm so thankful my mom had me. Yeah. Mom, I love you. But when I was in a hurt place, that's what I thought. So I think it really just comes down to like a biological thing of like you know what you're capable of with your awesomeness. Where I guess the reason I was trying to bring up the addiction thing is because if somebody's in a bad spot and they have these kids, try to take the kid in, you're dealing with all their genetic deficiencies, their patterns. If you believe in familial patterns and stuff like that, those are passed down through DNA.
Yeah.
Traumas are carried within you from DNA. So if you come from a long line of bank robbers and drug addicts and shit like that, the odds that you're going to continue to do that because that's all your family's ever known is probably going to be that. So if you adopt one of those kids, like,
do you think that it's like carried through in the DNA?
I think that we could look at studies and stuff. I've read certain things.
I don't know
that
like,
talk about that.
Shit, yeah, but
trauma does go, and that's where if you're looking the spiritual combining with the scientific, karma comes from, right? Yeah. Shit that you did, shit that your ancestors did, carries through to now. Yeah. And there's a lot of different ways that we can't know for sure, right? I don't think, but I think it makes sense that we talk about like familial stuff. Like my great grandpa was way more racist than probably my grandpa was, which is way less racist than, or my dad is way less than that. We're breaking cycles over time. Could you imagine if like, I don't know, if my family still lived in the fucking South and like carried all that up, then you adopted some Southern kid and I feel like that's just in them. I really do. I think that there's a lot that is environmental, but I think there's some in them where it's just like, I don't know. That's what I think. Though.
Yeah, I'm inclined to disagree. I think that it's entirely like environmental, except for like genetic. Like if it's a disease or whatever, you're gonna live with that. But who you are as a person, I think, is defined by what you're surrounded. Right?
Yeah, I think it's a huge part. I wouldn't say it's. I would. Yeah, like you said, we should disagree. Yeah. I think there's a lot that is carried through.
Interesting though.
Yeah.
I don't know that anybody really knows, right?
Well, and that's the thing. We can't know. We can only go based on our experiences. I think that if I had to give, I would say that the environmental is more important.
Yeah.
But I could assign a percentage like 70-30, something like that. It would be a majority. It wouldn't be like 50-50. Because I think that I don't know. Actually, I don't fucking know. I don't even want to assign a number. But I definitely think that they both play a part. For sure.
Yeah.
That's a good question. Let me ask you a question so you can talk a little bit.
Go for it, too.
So, what is God damn it! I'm getting all these fucking texts, bro.
Popular, dude.
Okay. Is there something that you feel like that you're not addressing, or you're not letting be in this moment. So, like, is there something that you feel like, whatever you feel comfortable enough saying, that you have been pushing aside, that you haven't wanted to face, or that you're not letting come up?
Yeah. We touched on this question previously. Now we kind of unraveled into a bunch of other stuff, but
we did.
Yeah. And the thing is, I'm happy in generally every sense of the word in most aspects of my life.
Yeah.
Very, very lucky to be where I am, doing what I am doing. The one thing that I feel like I have just been avoiding dealing with is to re-enter sobriety, right? I don't know if that kind of sounds weird, but yeah, because I used to be sober. I've never had a drinking issue, right? It's like every Swede, a weekend alcoholic, right?
Yeah.
And I'm also like, you talked about AA, right? Where I'm one of those, like, when you start, you don't stop. Like, so I usually, if I have one drink, I'm gonna have 10. I'm gonna be hungover. My entire day after is gonna be ruined, and I'm gonna be like on a low level for like a couple of days until I hit that Friday, and then it's like, oh, I'm feeling good. Yeah. Let's go out and have a drink, right? And then you just do one drink, which becomes 10. It's just like a vicious cycle. It just repeats. Which, like, I really don't have a problem stopping. And I really enjoy myself when I know that I'm 100% myself, right? So I'm 100% sober. Because I was sober last New Year's. I made a resolution to be sober until I moved to the States.
Yeah.
Which got canceled. And when it got canceled, I said, fuck off to the resolution. Yeah. I was like, let's have a birthday drink. It was in April. So I went like 4 months. I felt the best I ever felt, honestly. Because I just did so many things. Yeah, because I didn't realize how much time and money and energy and just anything I put into bad habits. And as soon as I stopped that bad habit, I just found myself doing so many good things too. I just I unregistered my car. I got a bike, started biking to work. I lost like 10 kilos over 4 months, which is like what, 25 pounds?
Yeah, 25 pounds, yeah.
Almost. Excuse me.
Considering no American knows what a kilo is.
No.
Like
slightly above 20 pounds, right? But so I did that. I started working out. Like, I got interests. Like, I just had more, like, I don't know, energy overall, right? Yeah. I just felt better, which is kind of surreal now that I'm talking about it. Like, how have you not gotten back to that? Like, you kind of reminisce about it. Like, oh, I used to feel so good, but I've just not.
Yeah.
That's kind of been the thing. Like, I haven't just addressed it, right? It's just been there. I've known it's there, but I haven't looked at it, right? So yeah.
Which makes me want to ask the question: Why do you think you haven't looked at it?
I don't know. It's a good question, and I know we talked about something along these lines the other night. Jordan Peterson, you know who he is. He was on Theo Vaughn.
Oh yeah,
he's the one I was thinking of. His podcast.
No shit. Yeah, they were on together.
Yeah, dude. And he kind of summed it up a bit. And
Theo's also sober.
Yeah, he's also sober, and he talks about when he got sober, right? And he's like, well, I had this fear of I'm gonna lose a part of me because I'm gonna lose like my comedic edge or my social like interaction abilities or like something. I'm not gonna be as fun without alcohol, right? Yeah. I kind of have that, but looking back, I know that it's not that, right? Because I've been sober, and I think that I was even more fun then. Like, people enjoyed me even more. Like, I didn't do any fuck ups. People were like, "Yeah, he's a good dude." So I don't know. Honestly, why I haven't.
I think that's a fair answer. Yeah. I think that saying you don't know is fine.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. Like, I want, because I care about you.
Yeah.
I'd say just explore that shit. There's obviously something there. I know for myself, there's always been something there.
Yeah.
I told you about. I'm not going to go into the whole thing about you. I'll just say, like, he did like a 30-day challenge where he didn't want to drink. What he noticed was that vibrationally, like, he's so in touch with energy, like, because he's been doing it for so many years. But he felt that when he drank, his energy, the vibration of the whole room it went down.
Yeah.
You'd go out and drink with these people, it'd start high, and then it would devolve into problems with at home, problems with the boss, problems with all these things, and it would just be problems, and then you would feel icky. And then you're actually drinking poison, I mean, if you want to call it that, right?
Yeah.
I choose to anymore. I feel like a lot of things are poison, but
it is, honestly, like...
Yeah, it's a depressant, you know, at the end of it, at the end of the cycle.
Yeah.
And that's what you're putting in your body. So your body has to process it, fucking kick it out, and, you know, do all this shit, and then, you know, you'd said the thing, like you're borrowing from your happiness later.
Yeah, right. When you drink, you're just borrowing happiness from tomorrow, right? Because that's what it is. You have one really good night, and then you have like a couple of shitty days.
Yeah.
Like for me, it's days.
Now, as you get older, it's worse, right?
It's not even just a day. Like
when I was like 17, it was I could do it.
It was not even the day after, dude. No. And now, I don't know, dude. I get low for like a couple of days after,
I honestly, I'm 31 now, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how people my age can drink. I don't know how people older than me can drink. Fuck, it's just like, I remember being like 23, drinking, I was like, 22 or whatever. I was like, dude, fuck this, man. Like, this is like, there's like no payoff. Like, I felt that way though too with borrowing happiness. Like, we had these weird ways of thinking about things, but that's how I felt about drugs.
Yeah.
When you're physically addicted to any type of substance, but I'm just going to say heroin for specifics because that's what I was doing. You have a withdrawal period after, right? And it felt like, I remember having this thought when you're like, it's like, the way we always described it was, it feels the worst, but you are not going to die from heroin withdrawals, right?
No.
You just feel like shit. You shit yourself. You have the shakes. You have cold sweats. You cannot sleep. Your whole body's in pain. But you're just really, really uncomfortable. And you're a little whiny bitch.
Yeah.
I want to be alive, but I can't. I just feel like shit. I just want to get high. Like that's what it looks like from the outside. When you're in it, you're just like, fucking nothing's okay. Like, literally nothing's okay. And I remember thinking when I was in those spots, I'm like, this is what I get. For all those years, all those hours I put putting drugs into my body.
Yep.
Now my body's like, okay, reverse time. Like, all those times you were just like, well, now you have to pay that shit back.
Yeah,
right?
true.
Is what it felt like.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be okay until you pay back all that fucking time.
Yeah.
And that's why they talk about, like, post-acute withdrawals. That's like a term in the addiction world. Like, your withdrawals, like, not the full-on 3-day withdrawals. Like, there's symptoms of your withdrawals that will last for months, if not a year or two.
Yeah.
Because of all the time you spent doing that.
Yeah.
So I definitely relate with that, where it's like kind of taking away from whatever.
Yeah, I definitely had those too. And of course, your thing was heroin, right?
Yeah.
And my thing was mostly MDMA. Back when I did.
Yeah. Oh, that one
sure
shit drains the fuck out of you, dude.
And I didn't know much about it when we started doing it, and so we did it like a couple of times in a month.
That's a lot.
And and then you would just...
Obviously some people do it even more than that, but that's you need to give your body a chance.
Oh yeah, you gotta just get some endorphins back in your system before you go like cramming out the last of your endorphin rag, right? Yeah. And that took like a couple of months, if not even like half a year to get back.
I bet.
Like 5 months later, I was like, "What the fuck is going on? Why am I like?
Why am
I feeling like shit?" Until I just randomly read like a study on MDMA addiction, and I was like, "Wait, what the fuck?" I identify with all these. They just explain like symptoms, like even after 6 months, you could feel like detached from reality and whatever. I was like, "Holy shit, this is actually it!" Yeah.
They talked about that, not MDMA specifically, but like the rehab. They were like, well, however many years you use, that's probably how long it's going to take for your body to readjust.
Yeah, right.
It's like, fuck, that's a long time.
Holy
and
shit.
like, and I didn't even use it. I didn't even use it as long as other people. Like, there's some people who use. That's thing is though, like, I'd say for myself, I started feeling pretty LT after about 6 months.
Yeah.
I mean, within that amount of time, I felt like I was back on my shit again. Right, I had a job. I felt more in control. I didn't feel tied to anything.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was fully out. I don't know. I don't have to justify that stuff. I think it's an average. I think I still had a lot of work to do. But for the most part, I felt more like myself after that amount of time. But in my head at that time, like, if you had told me that when I first got sober, like, oh, it's going to be about 6 months for you to feel kind of normal again, I'd be like, what the fuck? Who has time for that shit? Give me some drugs now. Like, I'm not putting up with this shit, dude. Like, because it sounds like forever, you know? And there's somebody recently. Man, everything's such a blur right now. So I'm trying to recall information, but I was just like, it was your brother. He was talking about wanting to get the tattoos. 17.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, dude, literally a couple more months doesn't fucking matter. Like it doesn't at all.
I'm still all behind him on getting a tattoo though.
No, I'm behind him too. But like, it doesn't matter if you have to wait 4 months. Like, who gives a shit? You're gonna have the tattoo forever. You realize that, right? Like,
I don't even think he knows what he wants yet.
That's the thing. That's
he just wants a tattoo.
That's kind of where your parents were at. Like, well, what do you want to get? I don't know. Well, then that's not an answer. Like, that's not good enough to get one early. If you're 18 and you don't know what the fuck you want, you just surprise me. Then fine. That's your choice. But I just remember thinking, like, I mean, there's been different points in my life where, like, that's 4 months away. That sounds like forever. Like, so many things can change. And I still feel that way now, like, whenever I'm supposed to leave or whatever, or like, when I was planning this trip, it's like, oh, like, how many things changed in the last couple months? Things of this, right? Who could predict that there would be, like, storming the Capitol and COVID still around, blah, 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 all these different things, like, we're not in control of shit, dude.
No.
Like, at all. I did want to touch on, to relate with you, and then we can finally be, like, caught up with everything.
Yeah.
Was the whole addiction thing. You know, you exploring why I want you to explore that stuff is because the last addiction that I really, like, kicked was nicotine. So when I had issues with nicotine, it's the last thing that I sort of kicked, right?
Yeah.
I had to ask myself, and I started doing this when I was with Gabriel, doing work on myself, with relationship, work, and all these different things. I had asked myself why it was that I kept doing it, because I didn't want to. I had originally, when I got sober, I was in rehab, and I quit cigarettes. But then I still felt like I needed nicotine, so that's why I switched to chewing tobacco. But I quit everything, and then I actually just quit that. Like, while I was in rehab, I quit all nicotine because I was like, "Fuck this! Like, I'm gonna be drug free, and I'm gonna be celibate, and then I'm also gonna do no caffeine and no nicotine. I'm just gonna be a clean person."
How long was that for?
For which part?
Like the.
I did not. I did not go back to caffeine.
Yeah.
Or drugs, obviously.
Yeah.
The other two did. They fell out.
But like, how long was it? Like a month, or how long is rehab?
About a month. Yeah. So, and then I didn't do nicotine for about 3 months.
Yeah.
Or so, because I actually ended up getting a job where they, on the piss test, they tested to see if you had nicotine.
You weren't allowed to. What?
It was a health company.
Jeez. Okay.
So you piss test.
Yeah.
Came, and I was like, wow, what good timing.
Yeah.
But I started doing it once I worked there. Like.
Jeez.
So, anyway, it worked out though, so I could get this job. And I never heard of that before. I was like, wow, what a perfect time that I quit everything, blah, blah, blah. And then I had one night where I was just like, I felt like shit, and I wanted something to change the way I was feeling.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I'm going to the gas station, I'm getting a can of dip, I'm going to watch a fucking movie. That's what I'm going to do. And I did. I went there, and I was rebellious, and I took a dip in. Oh, I'm so out of head rush. It's like crazy. And then it just didn't stop.
Yeah.
4 years later, still fucking doing chewing tobacco, right? And I tried quitting so many times in between there. I think with anybody with nicotine can relate to it. It's like, I quit for like a week or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, so I was looking at why I wanted to quit, or not why I wanted to quit, but why I kept doing it. And it really came down to sense of control, right? And I had all this chaos going on at home. I had all this stuff, and it was my time to come home, cat in my lap, throw a fatty fucking dip in, play video games, and just hang out. For that, and then it was face the world after that. Once that's done, throw it away. Okay, now let's take care of it.
your version of a reboot before you could.
Yeah. And I only dipped once a day too. That was the thing. Like, that's different than how a lot of people did it. But a lot of people like keep it in multiple times. When I used to smoke, I was smoking like a half pack to a pack a day, depending on where I was at. And so I didn't want to feel chained down to something, but I wasn't ready to quit yet. And I told you this story before, but I had one time where I quit for like 7 days. I went on a trip with a girlfriend or something, and I came back and I wanted to dip. And like I bought the can, and I was like, I'm gonna fucking do it tonight. But I went to a meditation meeting, and I put it in right before the meditation, right before the bell rang, and I sat and listened to my mind yell at me, saying like, "What the fuck are you doing? This? Please spit this out. Please spit this out. Just get it. You don't have to keep meditating. Just throw it away.
Yeah.
We don't want this. We don't want this." And I was like, "No, I'm fucking doing it."
Yeah.
Like, and then as soon as the meditation was over, I threw it away, and I was like, "This is just not good. Nothing about this is good. Nothing in me wants this, except for that one part of me that wants to just control something."
Yeah.
Right? I'm like a 14-year-old girl cutting my bangs. Like, I need control. You know, this is my thing. So I bring this up to you because I tried for so many years, and then once I was out of that relationship, I found myself, like, I got home from work and I went to play video games and I threw a dip in, and it was just like, my body was like, yeah, dude, just get rid of this. Like, it didn't even yell at me. It was just like, we don't need this anymore.
Yeah.
You're out of the situation. You don't need this anymore. And I was like, yeah. I spit it out, empty the can out like I'd done all those times before, right? Threw it away, and I just never dipped after that. It was the easiest thing ever. I didn't have to, like, stress and say, like, oh, I'm not going to do it anymore. Like, oh, like, no.
How do you, if you were to say that somebody is, like, using, is it chewing tobacco?
Yeah.
Yeah, chewing tobacco, yeah. And they come to you for advice, like, hey, how did you quit? How would you, like, because you just gained control in your life, right? But how would you, like, explain to someone, like, as a tip?
Well, that's a good question, because I don't think there's any simple answer.
Right.
I've had people ask me shit for a long time, but I think it comes from, you gotta start looking inside here. Just like you. Yeah. I'm gonna use you since you're right here. Like, okay, there's a party that doesn't want to do it, right? It's like this person that's saying, the person that's right here, it's like, I don't really want to use chewing tobacco. Okay?
No.
So why are you still doing it? Let's start there. It's easy to say it's bad for me. I literally had part of my gum come out. I remember when I took it out, I had a chunk of my gum missing. You could see inside. And you know what I did? I just put the dip up here next time. That's all I fucking did. That's my insanity. That's the same way I was when I was drinking. That's the same way I was when I was in heroin. That's the same thing that I do with this, right? It's the same. Look at 13-year-old LT jerking off 9 or 10 times a day because, I'm just going to do everything to the extreme, right? Like, fuck it. And I think a lot of people can relate to their own thing. And I wasn't extreme with everything. I remember watching like drug movies. Like, did you ever see Requiem for a Dream?
No.
Trainspotting. They were heroin movies. I remember seeing them, and I was like, oh, I have a lot of strong will because I can stop doing this when I want to, and I don't have a problem with this. But then there's all these other things I don't have any self-control over, right? Mm-hmm. So anyway, talking to how to quit nicotine, I get so sidetracked with shit. I would ask them why they keep doing it, right? Why? What is it? What is it about it that draws you in every time? Now I know there's these cliche answers that we all say of like, oh, it's a routine, it's the habit. Like, okay, that's fine. That's a good surface answer. But what are you avoiding? What are you keep looking at all this stuff? The thing comes down to there's a reason why you want to feel different. There's something in your life that you want to feel different from. This lets you do it.
Yeah.
Whether I smoke because that cigarette after you eat is really good.
That's the typical one, right?
Right. Or there's okay, so you like that. What do you like about that? Ask yourself that more. Don't ever with any of the questions yourself. Don't let yourself get away with bullshitting yourself.
Yeah. Be like the 5-year-old kid. Just ask why 7 times in a row, right?
Do it to yourself. Like that's the thing, though. Like when people, the biggest thing I see with growth, and I saw this with sponsees all the time, is when they finally started being the ones to ask themselves the question.
Yeah.
They would ask me these things, and all I would really ask is why. Like, why do you think that is? Okay, where do you think that comes from?
Yeah.
When they start asking themselves that question, that's when I know, like, you teach a man to fish, right?
Yeah.
Like, he can do that if he chooses to for the rest of his life, just like I can. Sometimes I let myself get away with, like, I just don't really feel like it. Okay. You know you're lying to yourself, right? Like, yeah, and I want to lie to myself. Okay. No one's going to stop you. Who's that hurting you? It's hurting you. So you ask yourself why it is you want to do it. And then ask yourself again and ask and get as deep as you can go at that time. Write about it. Do whatever. Ponder it in your time. The next time that you go to use it, this is a big one to me. I'm huge on meditation. Be as present as you can in that moment. You don't have to go to a meditation meeting. The next time you're like, all right, dude, I want to smoke this cigarette. I don't want to smoke cigarettes anymore, but I'm going to right now. Okay, that's fine. That's where you're at.
Yeah.
Why are you going to anyway? Why? Is it because you're stressed? Is it because you have these things going on? Is it because you want to taste it? Is it really answer that before you do it?
Yeah.
And then pay attention to it. Maybe smell the cigarette before you burn it, right? Like pay attention to everything in the setting. What the lighter feels like in your hand. Go in there. Savor that inhale, that first inhale. And then see what that really tastes like.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, what I noticed is when I really paid attention to it, it wasn't good.
Yeah. Such a good. I think that's a good baseline, though. Just like think about everything, because I think that when people fall off the wagon, they do it in a hurry, right?
Oh yeah.
Because it's just impulsive. Like right. It's super impulsive. Like, oh shit, here was the, and then quick light the cigarette.
Hey, dude, you want a shot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh fuck it. Yeah, exactly. But if you sit with it for 10 minutes before you do it, like I don't know that a lot of people would do it after that, right?
A lot of times you wouldn't, and if you do, here's the thing: you'll be more in tune with what it is. Like I said, I didn't quit right after the time I did it during a meditation meeting, but that moment stuck with me. I couldn't shut that out, no matter what.
Yeah.
And so that, like, that's why I always come back to being mindful in all aspects.
Yeah.
I've saved myself. I don't even see save myself. I've learned so much from doing that. Being mindful for any activity, when I'm about to eat, when I'm having a conversation. If you notice, like, if you're the one that's waiting to talk or whatever, or shit, because we all think that, we're all human.
Yeah.
When I say, like, hang on, dude, we're here with this person, let's give them the most love that we can, full attention. Suddenly, I enjoy talking to whoever it is even more. And, like, literally anything, like, whether it's having sex, or whether it's going for a run, right? Like, when I start paying attention to, like, holy shit, I'm doing this, I'm feeling this, I can feel the burn in my lungs, the way my knees feel, that cramp subsided, everything is temporary. Holy shit, like, I'm in the zone of everything in life, and then you feel like you're in a flow with everything in life. So, with the nicotine thing, like, that's one that so many people struggle with, like, just pay attention to it.
Yeah.
That's a start. You don't have to change anything. Keep smoking, but smoke mindfully as fuck.
Yeah.
And then see where that goes. Because if you're being mindful, you're going to keep asking these questions.
Yeah.
And that's the only way we're going to find any answers.
That's some solid advice, dude. I should have heard that when I was smoking.
Well, at least now you're not smoking.
Yeah.
For hopefully, never.
Yeah, I've been on and off. Like, I've been smoking for like 6 months, and then I pick it up for 6 months.
Yeah, isn't that an interesting thing?
It's fucking weird, dude. How? Because like, obviously, it's not a physical addiction still, right? After 6 months,
no.
It's just,
it's the hole in your soul. It's the whatever you want to call it. There's some sort of emptiness. You're trying to fill it up.
Yeah.
With whatever. Same thing with the drinking. Like, dude, you know how many times I heard people? Obviously, I worked in treatment for years. Say the same thing. Talk to them, and they're in their worst spot. Right? They're thinking about going to treatment again. Like, I was sober for like 8 months, dude. I fucking know that it's better than what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I would just say, like, why? What are you doing? Like, you just answered it. Like, there's nothing that I can say to convince you more. Like, why? Why aren't you going there? Because I don't think I can do it again. I did it before, so why couldn't you do it again? Right. Well, because things are worse now. I'm like, how are they worse now? They don't have an answer. It goes past. Like, they don't want to think about that in their head. That's the thought that they say that lets them continue to use.
Yeah.
Oh, things are so much worse now. You're never going to get out of this hole. Blah blah blah. And we say that to ourselves.
It's just the constant stream of lying to yourself.
We believe it because we don't have anyone else around. And even if somebody else says something, we're like, fuck you, you're trying to interrupt my drinking. I don't, fuck you, you know? I was that way. You know, like, people were like, dude, I think you're addicted to this shit. I was like, let me tell you something, okay? Like, literally, I remember telling one of my best friends, I was describing to him, like, this is the first time I ever got called an addict. I remember this moment. I was working at I'm trying not to use names, tech support job.
Yeah.
And I told him, like, yo, dude, like, I went to use the bathroom whenever we go on a break and I'm smoking a cigarette. And I was like, you know, this is what it's like for me, man. Because he knew I was using. I was like, it's kind of like, I don't know if you guys have these commercials. Do you have, like, you don't have TV. There's commercials on TV in the U.S. for drugs.
Yeah.
Whoa, big surprise! Like, there's one called Claritin, which is an allergy pill.
Yeah.
And the whole commercial, it's like got this fuzzy filter on it. It says, "Don't just get clear, get Claritin clear." And they take off the film when the person takes Claritin. Suddenly they're mountain biking and like all these cool. So that's what it is, right? There's kind of just this glaze over it, and then it's vibrant.
Yeah.
I told him, like, you know that commercial, dude? Like, that's kind of how I feel every morning. I wake up. And then you know, and then suddenly the film is gone, and everything just is kind of better. And he was like, I think you're addicted to that shit, dude. And I was like, what? Like, not even in a bullshit way. I was just like, what are you talking about? He's like, it sounds to me like you are completely addicted to those drugs.
And that was heroin at the time?
It might have been Oxy at the time.
Yeah.
It might have been heroin. I don't remember. Yeah. It was all kind of weird. I was like, no. He's like, okay. Like, and there's nothing else I can tell you. Dude, like, I just remember thinking, I'm like, he's so full of shit. Yeah. What a piece of shit. He, like, well, I in my head, I just made him the villain because he was trying to stop me. How dare he tell me I have a problem? Like, but I totally did. Right? I'm like, so I'm not going to listen to them. So there's a lot of people that we do that with ourselves. Like, all I wanted to do was like, okay, I'm going to push him away then. Push anybody that's going to separate me from this, they need to get out of my life. Yeah. And I did that. 100%. So, Robin.
Yeah, LT, what's up?
What do you think the meaning of life is?
Well, that's a good one, dude. Can't even recall because I've heard this question like 4 times now, 3 times. I don't even recall what they answered.
I know. It's one of. I'm going to give you a chance to think while I say this. It's one of my favorite questions because, like any of the ones that I have, any of the questions that I have on like repeat, I've never heard the same answer, and I don't think I can hear the same answer because they're all so unique experiences. Like, nobody's going to look at what the meaning of life is ever the same way. Even if like 5 people said love, that means something different if I try it.
True.
So what do you got?
Besides the obvious answer of 42.
Just something about that number.
Something about that number. It's a good question. There's 2 answers. There's the like personal one, what do I think my meaning of life is? And then the like ultimate, what is the meaning of life? I think the ultimate logical one is like boring, procreate and die, right? That's kind of like why we're here.
True.
But I think that everybody should find their own meaning, like what I want to do with my life. And I think the meaning of life is different for each person, right? I think, here's what I think. The meaning of life is to follow your bliss. And that could be different for everyone, right? If you want to impact the world positively, do that. If you want to be a serial killer, it's going to suck for some people, but for that person, that's what you want to do, then that is like you should follow it. For example, you probably shouldn't, but like for you, then you are going to be living your best life, right? Yeah. And just living what you know, because everybody really knows what their best life is. And just living your best life, I think.
So does that look like for you what you said earlier, like what you would do? Is that your best life?
Pretty much. And honestly, it can change along the way, right? Because like paths close, new paths open, and like I might not have the same interest. I might whatever. But like at the time, just do what I just follow where I want to go, right? Because people know where they want to go usually, but they don't go there. Because you have this vision of like, I wanna do this thing, but I really can't now because of this or whatever thing. If you just do that thing, or you spend an hour a day going towards your end goal, where you're like, oh, once I'm on that hill doing this thing, I'm gonna be happy. If you chase that, I think the pursuit is just the meaning of life, right?
Yeah. Why do you think people don't do
that? I think, and this is what we touched on, right? With you, like, with your, why did you not upload a podcast earlier, or why did I not do whatever? I think it's, I don't know, fear of failure, I think a lot of it is fear of failure. Yeah. And I don't know, a lot of it is also mixed in with this addiction. Like, you just lie to yourself. Like, no, I can't because of these whatever things. Yes, you can. Like, you could spend 1 hour each day towards your goal, right? Easy. You spend an hour a day taking a shit, or watching a Netflix show, or whatever, doing something non-productive thing. You could use that hour towards what you want to do. Yeah. I think that.
Yeah.
It's a pretty poor. I don't know, lacking in words, but.
I think you illustrate the point perfectly. Yeah. That's why, like, anytime we talk today, I appreciate your answer. Anytime I talk to anybody, like, they talk about meditation, just 5 minutes, dude. Can you do 5 minutes?
Yeah, right.
Like, and it's sometimes it feels harder than others. Yeah. You know.
I really hate the expression "I don't have the time."
Yeah,
because that's such bullshit.
You don't make the
all
time.
the time.
I feel like Jocko's saying that.
Yeah.
No, you make the time.
Exactly.
You don't.
You have 16 hours each day of waking time.
And we're not all Kevin Hart where we have blah, blah, blah,
no,
or whatever. Like,
exactly.
He just seems crazy.
Yeah.
If Joe Rogan thinks he's busy, then he's probably really fucking busy.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, we have the time, right?
Sure.
So.
What do you think it is?
I think that it's wait, what?
The meaning of life.
Oh, shit. I was gonna keep saying, why do you think people don't do that?
Oh.
I don't think anyone's asked me this. A lot of people have asked me the other questions, and I'm always open to any questions, as I've said before. But I think it changes. I think my answer to this has changed a lot too. Similar to what you're saying, like, I think a generic one, like everybody's generic one. You could say, like, from a scientific standpoint, what you said, but everybody, it's to be happy, right? That's what we're all living for, is to be happy. And you can get into semantic debates with people about what happiness means. If we're really trying, you said, like, follow your bliss, follow your passion, follow what happiness doesn't have to be joy. It's not the same thing. Whatever that means to you, right? Whatever this part says, not this part that's trying to argue and say, well, I don't think that I can be happy all the time. Okay, then contentment. Use whatever word you want, motherfucker. I'm not arguing that. Okay, that's not. We can, but I don't think that gets us anywhere. No. Let's try to actually figure out what we're doing. I think that every single thing. I think every single thing we do in life is to that end. Every single choice I've made is to that, whether I knew it or not. I think that even if you want to go extreme, I've thought about this a lot in my life. Even suicide is to that end. I want to not feel bad anymore. I think this is better than this. Therefore, I will be more happy if I do not exist anymore. So I'm going to do that. And I hope it puts a smile on your face. Right? Yeah. Like, I feel like I'm just looking at the most extreme example.
Yeah.
Anytime, like, I truly believe that if I knew better, I would do better. 100% for my life. Because every single thing I did, if it was taking money from my parents, if it was doing more drugs, if it was lying to somebody, it's because I thought this is what I had to do. And I couldn't do anything about it. But now I do have a choice. I have a choice to shoplift or not, right? Yeah. Or to do, whatever it is. I don't have to lie to people. I can be. I didn't know that I could be okay if somebody they didn't like what I said. It used to scare the fuck out of me. Because I was so scared. Like, we're all scared of being abandoned, but I've been hurt by people. I wanted to do whatever I could to hold on to people that I thought I needed. So I think in general, that's probably what I would say. Like, I want to say something else, but I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
That's in general at this moment what I would say. I think at other times I might have something, but man, I've had like the most beautiful moments in my life, and the times that I've been aware of that, like right now, I think it's a pretty beautiful moment.
Yeah.
And I'm looking around at all these things, and I'll never forget this because it's always in our subconscious at every moment. I see this bookcase, the lights on the wall, the staircase going up there, the lights that we had to try to make right so it looks good for the thing, like all these different things coming up, and it's cool. And the more that I'm present, like that's what I'm constantly trying to do. That's my thing.
Yeah.
I think that the more present that I am, all those other things come with it. More contentment. And contentment's not the answer though either. Like, I don't want to just be content for the rest of my life. Like, and I know for some people, I've gotten these debates where like, well, there should always be some level of contentment to deal with the strifes and adversities and stuff like that. I get what you're saying.
Fuck semantics. Like,
I get. But can we just talk about the idea? But the thing is, I've been that person that argued semantics because I didn't want to really look at the big picture. I wanted to say, well, no, everything's meaningless because we're all going to die and the world's going to blow up and everything's fucking bullshit anyway. Like,
pretty much.
And I used to just try to argue that to people, and it was like, they're like, so where are we going with this thing? What are we even fucking talking for? Everything's meaningless. And I was like, well, now you're on my side, so now we can talk about whatever. Like, and I was like, what was I trying to accomplish? I was like 16 doing this to people. Like,
dude, I used to do exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought I was so clever, but I realized I was missing the plot.
Yeah.
Right? There was this one woman that I love talking to. She would say that all the time. What's your why? Where's the plot?
Yeah.
Right? What is my plot? Right? What's the... If my life's a story, what's going on?
Yep.
I love the way she said that. I'd never heard that before. What's crazy is after she said that, I saw it everywhere.
Yeah.
I saw it. I read it. I'm like, a Reddit post. Someone else said that. Like, you just got to find out what your plot is. I'm like, where'd you hear that? Who told you that?
Dude, I heard that
heard
first.
that one. Yeah, exactly. Then I realized it was a thing people talked about. I just either didn't hear it or whatever for 30 years.
Yeah, there's a name for that. Once you think of something, you see it everywhere.
Yeah. That's cool. I like that, man. I like that answer. What, so you said, like, maybe giving people, telling you to do, like, 1 hour or something like that. If somebody told you, like, Robin, I want to find out what this is. You said that I know what it is, but I don't know what it is. What did you say to them?
Dude, I have the best answer, which is not mine. It's Matthew McConaughey's, right? And he did this in a way that really changed my perspective. He has a motivational video which says, to figure out your why, don't sit down and think what I want to do. Simply remove the things you don't want to do, right?
Yeah.
So just think about everything in the way that you've said, like whether it be a cigarette or it be, I'm going to go to the bar, sit with it for a minute or two and ask yourself, do I want to do this? If the answer is no, then don't do it. Eventually, by process of elimination, you're going to be faced with only the things you want to do, which seems like such an easy route to take there, right? Like, you're left with it, like it's just there because there's nothing else. Like you've removed all the no's in life. That way, yeah.
Dude, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I think I talked about that one in the Kylie and whatever. There was a dude that wrote a book on the Oprah thing, philosophy book thing, and he pretty much said, like, if you don't know the answer to a question, ask it a different way. So instead of saying, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" What do you not want to be?
Yeah.
And then suddenly you have answers.
Yeah.
Because everyone knows shit they don't want to do. Okay, cool. You don't want to do this. Don't want to do this. And then go try something new, and then every time you try something new, you realize I either want to do this thing again or I now don't want to do this. Put that on the list of bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Like, I've never been scuba diving. Maybe it's awesome. Maybe it sucks.
Yeah.
Do I just not do it because it might suck? Like, fuck no, dude. I mean, that used to be my answer. I was like, I could stay at home and play World of Warcraft.
Which I know is kind of good.
Which I know is, it's very mediocre. Like, I know what I'm going to get into, right? And I'm going to sit here alone, or I could go to this party. But I've been to a party before that sucked. So I'm going to stay here and play World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
And then I go to school Monday, and my friends are like, what the fuck are you doing all week? And I was like, I had work and stuff like that.
Yep.
They were like, oh, did you miss this party? It was crazy, blah, blah. And I was like, I don't think I missed much. But then eventually that wasn't the answer. I finally was like, hang on, how many years have I been doing this? Like, is this what I'm going to do? Am I going to turn into the dude that just only plays World of Warcraft because it's safe? And I know I can have this mediocre time instead of maybe, fucking up chances with a girl or making myself look stupid. Instead, I just embraced it. I'm like, I'm getting naked at every fucking party. Fuck World of Warcraft. I'm done with this shit.
Being the naked guy at the party. Man.
Yeah, but I had to ask him because I was, no matter how lost I get in things, even before, no matter how lost I get, I always end up coming to the, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Is this really what I want to do? And I still never had the answer of like what I want to be when I grow up. But similar, like I think I just found out, like, well, I know I don't want to be this.
Yeah.
So I got to do something different, for better or worse, right? I made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it as, I wish I would have heard it that way back in the day. Instead, I just kind of said, okay, I got to keep moving on. And I just kept moving. And that's not bad. Like, I've learned so much shit. And I've had a bunch of different jobs and a bunch of cars and, all these different things and experiences. Now I can actually take my time. And like you said, I missed the part where it was like, think about it for a second.
Yeah.
Instead, I was just like, on to this thing. Like, let's just make a mess of everything. Yeah, we're talking for a while.
It's been a while, yeah.
Let's finish it up then.
Yeah.
You ready for one more?
For sure.
I know we've taught you. You've imparted a lot of good stuff. I know I've taught a fuck ton. If there's anything you could leave our American viewers, whoever's listening to this, the hundreds and hundreds
of people, millions of people.
Yeah, millions of people eventually that'll go back to listen to every episodes. What would you leave with? Like, if there's a piece of advice, if there's something you just want to impart, like, what would you want to leave these beautiful people with?
Oh, dude, I don't know. I really like the message that, I don't know what the couple that you talked to. Yeah, I don't know which one of them said that what was it? We're stronger together. That was a beautiful message, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know that I can up it.
I don't think that's. I think
I'm not gonna try.
That's your own ego trying to.
Yeah,
say
dude.
That shit.
I'm not trying to compare it to anything. Yeah. But like since I heard it, it's actually been stuck in my head. Like she said it pretty good. Like just, it's like we're stronger together, right? Like we're not. Shouldn't be a competition. And I also saw this from Kevin Hart, who is such an inspiring guy, in his podcast with Joe Rogan, where he's like, well, I've learned these things, like 1,000 things from my lifetime. Why shouldn't I share it with someone else? And that way you don't even have to go through the 20 years of shit that I went through to have the knowledge of that. And then you can take it even further than I did. Like our mission isn't to be the best, it's to lay the groundwork for the best. And that should be the mission for the next generation too. And for the people around you, right? Because then I just think she just wrapped it up so good. Like, just realize that we're stronger together, right? And I know that I struggle with it. I'm super competitive. I want to be the best. And I got to get away from that too and realize that, like, whatever I can share, I should share, right? And
that's again, I feel like that's evolution too.
Yeah.
Regardless of what people's beliefs are, like, that's what keeps us alive. That's what kept your ancestors going, right? Partially, but we're not in that spot where we have to. I always think, I don't know if I said this one on the podcast, and I don't really give a shit if I heard these things. There was this old jazz musician back a long time ago, before there was recordings. They did that on wax. Those were the first recordings, like Wax Records.
Yeah.
They could record one song on the record. And I don't even remember this guy's name because I'm not good with names for one thing. Also, he's been forgotten. They asked the best trumpet player at this club down there. They're like, "Hey man, you're the fucking best that we have like in the world as of right now. We want to record you and put your song out there and sell it as a record." All these people are copying my sound.
Yeah.
And he didn't.
Yeah.
And so they went to like the next best person, which was, I don't remember their name, but they ended up getting like Louis Armstrong and like shit like that, right? And they recorded that, and everybody surpassed the guy that didn't want to give his info out at the beginning, because he stayed and played in the same club, and then he just got forgotten.
Yeah.
He wasn't that good anymore, and everyone else just got better.
Yeah.
And he could have been the dude that helped all these people get better, and not been selfish with the information. You know? They always have that person in the movies that's like, no, I'm going to keep my stuff. Like, but we are better together. And if I can save anybody time, like you said, like Kevin Hart said, if I can save anybody, if I been through so much shit, I don't want people to go through the same shit that I went through.
To end up in the same spot.
Everyone's going to go through shit. That's a given of life.
Yeah.
Right? Life is suffering. But you don't have to go through the same thing. I don't need you to go through the exact same spot as. And here's the thing: if you do, that's your journey, bro. I'm not going to be mad at it. But if I can save you like one time where you're like, you know what? Maybe I'll think about Matthew McConaughey and the conversation with LT. I'm just going to wait a second before I do this thing.
Yeah.
Suddenly there's a whole different path available to you that wasn't available to all of us other people.
Yeah.
And how great would that be? That's why when I look at kids, it's not so scary now. Like, I'm aware of both sides. They're going to make their mistakes.
Yeah.
And I'm going to love them through it. And also, hopefully they trust me and they see that dad is trying to fucking get better all the time. And that he's not blowing smoke at things. He's real. Yeah. Right?
Dude, I'm getting excited to see you as a dad. It would be funny, yeah.
Okay. No rush. But when they see that, they'll be like, hopefully, they'll trust me enough to be like, he's open enough to say that he doesn't know something.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if I've asked him, he says he doesn't know. There's certain things that he says, like, he believes the truth. I should fucking listen to that. But hopefully, who knows? They're going to rebel. They're going to do all the things. But if I can save them a little bit, and then they grow up and do the same thing, like, what a great world. Like, suddenly, think about slavery in America, right? Looking at that, there's only a couple people with it.
Yeah.
Think about how much.
That's crazy, to think about it.
5 people
There's only
ago,
a couple
6
people ago,
ago. That's Joe Rogan says it that way.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not that long
That's
ago.
not that many people.
Think about if we did this for 6 generations.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
If we're still alive at that time.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, man. I love that, though. Better Together. I like the Kevin Hart thing. I haven't watched that podcast in a long time.
It was a while ago. I watched it when I went out for a jog. Super fun. Yeah. In last summer.
Well, dude, I appreciate you being on here. I know that there's a lot of good stuff that's on here. And who knows, maybe before you go, we'll do it again or something like that. But if anything, I just like having conversations with you, and I'm happy to get to share that with the beautiful people out there.
Likewise, dude. Super thankful to be on even. And thankful to even have you here, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Awesome.
It's a win everywhere around. But with that, I'm going to call it here. Thank you, everybody. Robin, I love you.
Love you too, man.